Hi everybody, it's JJ and we're back again for another ASUS PCDIY hardware live stream. This is actually the first one right for 2023, so happy New Year's. A little bit of a belated New Year's because of course we haven't recently had a PCDIY live stream. We've been busy with of course a lot of different things with the end of the year and of course CES 2023. You guys checked out the title header. That's what this stream is going to definitely be all about. We're going to be focusing on not just of course all the awesome announcements that we had for CES 2023, but of course helping to round out some of the announcements that we had right at the end of December, and of course some things that we've actually already had just announced and essentially are going to be coming to the market already for this month in terms of January. So a lot of fantastic things to cover. We've got already quite a number of people joining us here in the stream, so fantastic. Let's see who we have joining us. We've got Erica as always. Happy New Year's, Erica. Thanks for letting us know that the audio is sounding good. We've got Kevin Daly, one of the best guys that we've got in our terms of our PCDIY community. Definitely Team ROG fan for there. Of course, the one, the only, the Grandmaster from Great Up North, Mr. Sneff. How you doing, man? I'm digging, of course, that nice little logo work right there. We've got Miguel joining us as well. H2O Computers, Michael. Daniel's also joining us there. We've got VTOR joining us as well. I think I also saw Michael, I wasn't sure. We've got Christian also joining us. So fantastic. I think I also saw Sumin also joining us as well. So quite a number of people. Oh, fantastic. We've got DePoets as well, man. Happy to have you, man. Thanks for joining us here on the stream. And we also have Lano C, man. Fantastic. So much. So let's get ready to go ahead and kick it off because this is going to be an absolutely packed stream. We've got a lot to go ahead and cover for this stream. And definitely I'm going to go ahead and be asking your guys' feedback in terms of kind of what we're going to try to dive into first. So I'm going to go ahead and try to just get a couple of things before we get into some of all the latest product announcements just out of the way in terms of just some of the general things that we like to cover here on the stream. So let's go ahead and jump into it. No, never forgotten, Mr. Matley. We can't forget. Definitely one of our favorites right there. Absolutely awesome. If you guys are not following his Instagram and his Facebook, you definitely want to, because awesome photography and definitely doing some awesome showcase for some of our latest and greatest hardware. Yeah, Chris, if I'm losing my voice again, my voice is about 85%. You guys might have caught some of the stuff that I did at CES. It was a bit hoarse, and it's definitely still a bit hoarse right now. But, you know, we're going to make it through. So let's go ahead and just kick things off. First and foremost, let's just go ahead and quickly recap UEFI BIOS announcements, because there actually are quite a number of BIOS announcements, UEFI firmware updates that we have gone ahead and issued. Rounding out the end of December and then now moving into, of course, where we're at now in middle of January. So let me go ahead and actually just jump into the PCDIY group. I'm going to go ahead and share you guys the post. If you guys are not part of our PCDIY group, go ahead and check it out. It's linked in the description if you guys want to check it out. But it's a great community that we have, over 40,000 members. And let me go ahead and see if I can resize this for you guys here a little bit. Give me 1 second. There we go. And there we go. All right, so here's, of course, the post that we've got, and it has like a full breakdown in terms of like recommendations in terms of things you want to keep in mind if you're going to be updating your UEFI, and whether or not you should update your UEFI, because if your system's running stable and reliable without any issues, definitely I would normally advocate that you just keep your firmware with that current release. The reason why is you can have changes of what are called the microcode, as well as auto rules, PCH firmware for people that are running RAID configurations. A lot of things that can change that can actually affect your system stability. So while generally firmware updates are designed to help to either add new features, enhance performance, improve interoperability and compatibility, especially if you have a tuned system, it can sometimes affect that system because underlying foundational rules have changed. But overall, you'll see there's a massive number of updates. You know, quickly recapping which boards are essentially seeing updates. We're seeing boards within the Z590, Z690, Z790, B660. Of course, our latest generation, a 700 series for B760 and H770, and then a few H610 boards. I'd say probably the most important for those of you that are probably on the new build or kind of recent build, you might be interested in the Z790 based updates. I would say at this point already the Z790 updates are what I would consider a mature base release, meaning that you don't have to necessarily just jump to it. If you are building a new system though, or maybe looking to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of DDR5 based overclocking, you may see a little bit of maybe improvement and some enhanced margins, so you could go ahead and consider it. A critical part though is that there is something that is called MEI firmware. The MEI firmware is really important that you make sure to update the MEI firmware in alignment with the UEFI BIOS. This is also critical if you've got an older Z690 and are going to be upgrading to a 13 gen series CPU. Make sure to update the MEI firmware ideally first, and then then go ahead and update your UEFI BIOS. You'll find all this information broken down to you on the support website, so just make sure to keep that in mind. On the AMD side, there's some updates that we have for WRX 80, A520, and TRX 40. So for those of you who are running on the Threadripper platform. There is also a forthcoming newer AMD AGISA that you're going to be seeing a little bit later on, so make sure to just keep it tuned. As always, we try to pretty much give you the visibility for these UEFI updates about every 7 to 10 days. So next Friday, again, there'll be another round of updates, and if you just want to kind of keep in the know, make sure to go ahead and just join in the group. You can go ahead and check out that featured announcement post, and you will be good to go. All right, so let me go ahead and quickly just see if we have any quick questions that might have popped up there. I'm about to make the jump from a Maximus, Maximus 7 Hero to a Z790-E. That's a huge upgrade in terms of not only the features, functions, but the performance. So kudos, man. That's going to be an awesome upgrade right there. Hey, Connor, definitely one of the absolute best Team ROG members that we have in our community. Fantastic to have you here, man. Thanks so much. Zach, you're jumping a little bit ahead of the curve. We're going to be talking about the Hyperion. I think I'm going to probably talking about the Hyperion first foremost. For those of you that don't know, that's our brand new large eATX-based chassis, really kind of focused for enthusiast-based builds. And I will be talking about the Hyperion, but I can't already tell you right now there are no plans to release a white, but we're definitely collecting feedback. I know that a lot of people are interested in seeing just like what we had with the Helios, where we had a white and black model, but right now it will be launching just in a black version. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get that out of the way. So we've got the UEFI BIOS updates out of the way. Next update that I want to go ahead and jump into quickly is actually going to just be a giveaway, but also a great kind of just opportunity to help to contribute to an amazing charity with Extra Life. It's something that we went ahead and worked on in conjunction with Intel, and also a wide range of fantastic builders that we had at the recent launch event for the 13900KS. So if you guys are not aware, of course, Intel just released 13900KS. Of course, all ASUS series motherboard supports sockets 1700 sockets, fully supported with the latest UEFI. So if you're looking for that absolute kind of fastest out-of-box performance, 6 gigahertz, then the KS is going to be an awesome part. Of course, 6 gigahertz was already possible, with our ASUS AIOC technology and taking advantage of chips, whether it's going to be on the 13600, 13700, or 13900K. But if you're looking to have that kind of even increased power band, and of course a little bit more of that bidding that happens on Intel side there for the 13900KS, that's supported. But with that, I want to go ahead and quickly just show this really cool giveaway opportunity that we have and some awesome systems. So over from from GCF Events and PC Works, there was a builder, Ronnie Christensen from Blue Horse Studios, as well as from Lee Harrington from PC Junkie Mods, and then Liquid House. Each one of them actually did these awesome builds, and essentially there's an opportunity for you guys to actually win these builds. So again, let's go ahead and quickly check this out. These are actually the 3 builds right here. Pretty amazing systems right here. You can see that they're all custom water-cooled systems. I believe in this one right here, we've got our Z790 Hero board that's in there. Looks really fantastic. On this one, I think it's also the Hero, and on the Liquid House build right here, this is going to be featuring the Apex. Absolutely just super awesome kind of modded, customized systems that are kind of built to just not only look great, but perform to an amazing degree. So if you're really looking to be able to win an awesome system or get an upgrade, why don't you go ahead and get in on it? And also make sure, if you guys are not, make sure to go ahead and throw a thumbs up to all of these amazing creators that worked with us on having these builds put out there and being able to work within the community for this. So if I head over to the link right here, you'll see this is the creator challenge giveaway. So it's pretty straightforward, right? Win a custom modded PC, how to enter. You can go ahead and just go through the registration links. You can see right here, register for Extra Life, enter the sweepstakes, and then you have additional entry opportunities if you do donate. Donating, it's literally like the price of maybe just a meal out. So, maybe consider $10. This is a fantastic charity, so something to please keep in mind outside of just the general entry. But three systems right here, fantastic opportunity. So I'm going to go ahead and link that in the chat right there. And why don't you guys let me know which system you liked the most? For me, it's hard. I think that they all looked really, really good. Really cool looking systems. I think DePotes, who's in the chat, can also let you guys know he was there at the event, which one he liked the most. I really like what Stuart and Timmy did in terms of their system. I really like kind of just the refined kind of drop down palette that you've got in terms of the look and feel. At 6, I love multiples of 3. The black, the silver, the contrast I thought was really beautifully done. Though there are definitely some really cool kind of stylized elements to each one of the systems. Let me go ahead and see right here. I think I have a couple of just images I can share here. So let me see if I have them right here. Yeah, so, okay, yeah, I've got a couple of them right here. So this is just a little bit of side profile from it right here. Really, really love kind of this nice accent tubing, right, where you've got, of course, the silver contrast right here with that nice blue theme, of course, carries in terms of the corporate color, not only for ASUS, but also for Intel. The black, I love that you can see the poly mode display. Love keeping that actual GPU horizontal for some nice depth and contrast in there. Really, really nice accent right down here with just the silver and the blue as well. Of course, also the combs look great. And then, of course, that frosted tubing looks all fantastic. I mean, this is just a beautiful build. And on the front, too, the front has also some beautiful work. I don't have a shot of it right there, but it also looks stunning. The liquid house build, also fantastic looking build. This white, of course, with the white apex. I love the Optimus blocks. You don't see them as much in the custom water cooling community. They're a smaller company, but amazing blocks. Really, really offer a fit and finish and a polish and just a quality that looks outstanding. No RGB on them, but they really have this beautiful kind of clean aesthetic, and I think it really complements. And I love this kind of little split design here, creating a little bit of depth and contrast, a little bit more fluidity than you would normally see with a lot of the hard kind of parallel lines you see with custom water cooling. But really, really like this setup, and also the angle display just feels different, right? So really, really cool. Great way to showcase not only the board, and then of course you've got these massive, absolutely massive radiators, right? And then right here, we've got a really cool, interesting design where it's like in the details. Definitely, I feel like it has this like heavier kind of a little bit of mod vibe to kind of carry through some of the wafer and kind of the look and feel of the Intel CPU, where you can see right here, it's almost like you're seeing a little bit of that kind of package from the CPU design, which I think beautifully kind of silhouettes inside of the motherboard. Looks really, really cool. The gold accents and then the color scheme coming through. And then the front also has an entire distro that's on there that looks really, really cool. But all the way around, three amazing systems. You know, guys, drop in the, jump in. And like I said, hopefully you guys can donate a little bit. And you guys, best of luck in terms of hopefully somebody winning. Okay. So very, very cool. Let's go ahead and just see. Yeah, they all did a great job. I definitely would agree. I would have any of those on my desk without a doubt, right? Agreed. The Entho Elite isn't being made to be carried. I don't really think any of those. Probably the last one, I would probably say Ron and PC Junkie Mods, Blue Horse Studios and PC Junkie Mods, probably the easiest system if you had to carry it. But really, any custom water cooling system, when you have that much liquid, you have that much components, you're really going to want to kind of be gentle with it and carry it very, very cautiously, right? Although that's one of the cool things about the Helios, the GT series chassis on the TUF Gaming line and the Hyperion, right, is that they all kind of have a design where they're designed to give you some flexibility in terms of lifting and moving the systems right there, right? So let's get ready to go ahead and keep kind of moving things along right here. Let me see, this quick question. There was an issue with 12th gen CPUs that the mounting didn't secure it properly, which affected the heatsink contact. Actually, that wasn't an issue. It was, I think, an overblown kind of statement that was made by some people in the community and some media to some degree. The reality is that Intel goes through a lot of actually ILM testing, and there's actually an optimized kind of level of torque. And the reality is that the only reason why some people are kind of talking about that contact is for people that are trying to maximize thermal dissipation performance under very specific workloads. The reality is that with any standard AIO solution, when it's mounted for either 12th gen or 13th gen Z690 or Z790 for gaming loads, from desktop productivity loads, you can easily cool it without going to high-end custom water cooling. A 240 millimeter, even a tower heatsink, as I showed in my live stream where I demoed both the 12900K, 13900K being cooled without any issues, it's not a factor. Also, you using any form of like a contact frame or things like that, while they can sometimes help to provide a little bit more let's say balanced placement for the actual base of your cooling solution, they can also actually introduce instability and other issues that can be quite a bit more challenging and then complicated to kind of remove and go through the process of figuring out, did I all of a sudden, the reason why I'm having maybe lower DRAM scaling or I'm having instabilities that caused by that. So I really don't think it's worth it. I think it's only really reserved for the extreme set of users that absolutely care about every C in terms of reduction in temperature, and then also maybe for a segment of users that might have ultra high multi-threaded application workloads, and so they're really trying to drive nominally lower temperatures because that's when you'll see the greatest heat generation. But for the vast majority of users, nobody's running those type of workloads. So this is always the balancing act of understanding the difference between a real world workload and then I'd say maybe a more professional or specialized workload. All right. Okay, I think that's it. So let's get ready to actually jump into a lot of the new products here. Again, I'm going to go through a lot. If you guys look in the description, if you guys are watching us right now on YouTube, I think on Facebook, it's also there on Twitter. You guys might not see it, but there's an entire description that literally has all the products that I'm going to hopefully attempting to cover here. So there's a lot of them in there, and I'm going to try to break them down, in kind of an order. I think for me, kind of one of the most interesting ones right off the bat is going to be chassis. But as the order as I have it right now is I'm going to do chassis. We'll then quickly recap on coolers. We'll make a couple of quick notes on cooling fans. Power supplies are going to be in there. Of course, keyboards. Keyboards, mice. And then monitors, then a router and networking, graphics card update, the chair, of course, the controller, accessories, mini PC, headset, and that should, I think, round out everything. And there's multiple products within a lot of these kind of lines. But if anybody wants to kind of see one, if I kind of seeing more kind of vibe from the community, let me know in the chat. We'll go with it. But I'm going to start off first with chassis. Okay, so let's get ready to go ahead and get into chassis, and we'll go from there. All right, so the first update, really, I think on the chassis side, of course, is going to be this guy right here. Is going to be the ROG Hyperion GR701. So this is an update to the Helios. The Helios was the GX601. Now that was already a large chassis, already offered a lot of flexibility for people who wanted to go with air-cooled, AI-cooled, or of course custom water cooling based configurations, and really kind of what the design intent that we had was with the Hyperion was to even be able to give you more space, and so really have also a premium chassis in terms of not only the material but the functionality that it offered. So let's go ahead and take a look right here. Let me open up my images that I've got here for the Hyperion. So, and we'll walk through kind of some of the differentiation points. So here you can see, this is the Hyperion. This is all aluminum right here on the front. It's got a really, really nice premium feel and finish to it. Definitely, there's actually a large amount of focus on airflow. It's a little bit deceptive. Some people think, hey, did you guys not think about airflow consideration? I'll show you actually some of the thermal testing consideration, but just like it wasn't an issue in the Helios, and we've got people in the community that I'm sure will tell you this, you can readily run 3900K, 4090 in here, and it's not going to be any issues. And there's actually a lot of depth and spacing within here. These large open slats, along with actually the spacing between this front paneling and within this spacing right here, really actually allow for a large amount of actually airflow. It's quite good. And we even have it actually benchmark internally against other similar chassis within this segment from other companies offering better thermal performance. So again, you can feel comfortable and confident that you don't have to be worried about it. And for us, really, the balance is, of course, not only to hit a thermal performance target, but also an aesthetic design target, right? We want to have a distinctive look and feel for the product. So you're going to see we've got this triangular zone right here, 3 accents, which look really cool and distinct in terms of the RGB lighting. A little bit, I'd say, more refined, a little bit more subtle than what you saw within the Helios. And we're also potentially maybe looking at having maybe like 3D files that we'll release to the community to allow maybe modders to have their own inserts for these sections. So maybe you can kind of remove these and maybe do your kind of own customization. Potentially that could be an option that you might see a little bit later out. Then you of course have that really cool X frame that is going to be present there, and these kind of nice swing out doors right here where you've got the tempered glass, and then of course also the metal finishing right here. Right now, looking up here at the front is actually going to be a really important part because the I/O, this chassis actually has 6 I/O on the front, which is pretty rare even for higher end chassis. So you have 4 type A, and then you're going to have dual USB-C. And a big upgrade compared to many other competitors is these are also rated for 20 gigabits. Many other competitors, they might be rated for 5 gigabits or 10 gigabits, but this is 20 gigabits. Of course, with us being the #1 motherboard manufacturer, this gives you a lot of flexibility. If you're looking for that best I/O experience, the Hyperion is going to give it to you. So again, 4 type A, and then you also have dual 20 gigabits type C, and they also support 60-watt charging, which of course some of you may be aware of is a feature that we've introduced on many of our recent higher end ROG, as well as other motherboards within our lineup that also have fast 60-watt charging support. Okay. So when we look on the back, similar to kind of the Helios where we have a little bit of that tint right there, there's integrated, of course, cable routing ports that are present within the chassis. Of course, a nice little door to be able to kind of isolate. So if you're not really somebody that focuses too much on cable management, you don't have to worry about them. You can kind of all route them within this sub door right here and allow you to have kind of a clean and nice aesthetic. You'll actually notice down here at the bottom, and I'll go through some other images to kind of show this a little bit off, but there's an integrated ARGB and fan controller that's built in there to be able to help to supplement more devices as you have on the inside of the Hyperion. Now moving on the inside right here, the unit does support actually up to 420 millimeter base radiators at the top and at the front. So massive radiator support. That's an upgrade from the Helios, which was 360. It has also been especially kind of optimized in terms of its design clearance to best accommodate EATX. So you have motherboards like what I've got right here next to me with the Extreme motherboard. So you can definitely drop in those boards and feel comfortable that you've got enough spacing, even with those right angle connectors that we have on the Extreme. You see that I have a really premium and high quality integrated GPU anti-sag brace. So if you don't want to use something like what I've got right here with the Herculex, then you can just have the integrated brace and it looks really clean. You pretty much won't see it, but it'll go ahead and support, you know, your large graphics cards. We went ahead and optimized the actual spacing and also the venting that we had for not only the PSU shroud but the rear to even allow for more airflow. No issues at all whether you want to go horizontal or vertical, even with the largest cards like our 4080 and 4090 series graphics cards. You don't have to worry about any bend or routing issues with the cable, so you can go ahead and go either route. I'm always a fan of horizontal mounting, but if you want to go vertical, you can definitely do it. And very subtle, but all of this spacing right here for the venting, we went ahead and optimized the size so that screws cannot actually even fall inside of the PSU shroud. So that was just even like a little bit of minor feedback that we saw from some users in the Helios where they was like, it's a little too big. So we went ahead and optimized it and actually even extended the amount of venting that was present. But we went ahead and, like I said, optimized the sizing so that things essentially can't kind of fall in and potentially go into maybe your PSU or go into that bottom PSU shroud, and then you kind of got to try to route everything out. You can see, of course, you've got tons of routing points right there with, of course, grommets that are fully integrated inside the chassis. And you can also begin to see right here all the slats and spacing that you have for, of course, the fans. The unit will come pre-installed with 440 millimeter fans. So you'll have, of course, the 3 in the front right there, and then you have 1 in the rear. Now, this is a cool little portion right here. This section will allow you to fully see the PSU, so you can go ahead and mount your PSU in there, and of course that will look great with like a Thor series power supply. This cool RGB light panel, this light panel is pretty interesting because not only is it a really cool light panel internally, but you can actually use it externally. So you could remove this light panel and you can actually run it on your desk. There's actually a little bit cable connection that you can plug into your system. So if you want to have kind of some cool RGB desk vibes on your desk, and you were maybe to use this space to maybe, let's say, mount like fans, you could mount your fans in there, take that light panel out. Instead of losing it by putting it in the box, you can have like a cool little stylized setup that you can put on your desk. And that's something I haven't seen any chassis ever on the market do. So it just adds a little bit kind of a more premium value experience. So this is a really kind of cool design pattern that we have available there with the integrated lighting panel. Okay, and here you can kind of just get a sense of how it would look if you kind of put it all together and you have a system that is inside of the Hyperion. Here we can see, of course, we've got our ROG Strix graphics card. This is the 4090 vertically installed. We've got our latest generation Ryu cooler that's also in there, which will be available both in white and black, and I'll be talking about that guy in a little bit as far as the update in terms of the availability. It should be the first 8th gen ASUS based cooler on the market. Really premium design and fit and finish. It's got metal knurling, enlarged base plate, thicker tubing, more coolant, ROG static pressure optimized fans, but really cool. Now this little area right here too, I'm gonna have to go into my secondary item right here, so give me 1 second so I can show you this, guys. One thing I wanted to show you is just kind of how kind of like the airflow property, I guess, works a little bit if you're kind of wondering about it. So I'll show this to you guys, and you guys can see this, and then I will also go ahead and show you guys some of the other little things I want to show you right here. So here's just like a little bit of like kind of an animation in terms of kind of how you can see that it's working, right? And again, we actually do put this in actually our thermal chamber. It's gone through testing and through validation. And again, you don't have to be concerned or worried about anything. So even though some may perceive that, oh, just because it's not a big mesh panel in the front, airflow is definitely not a concern in the Hyperion. All right, let me go ahead and just pull in a couple of other little things right here. So give me 1 second. And I want to show you guys something here. So let me go ahead and just bring this up here. Okay, and here we go. Okay, perfect. So let me see if I can find the part that I want to show you guys. So here's just for reference a little bit of kind of thermal information. So you can see right here, this is again with a Z790, a 4090 base graphics card, 1600 watt Thor base power supply, or the Ryujin 2 cooler, and you can see right here 65 degrees right for the CPU, and then 36 right here, and you can see compared against the C700M, the vertical installation or the horizontal installation. So in both of these kind of configurations, you can see that we've got the corresponding delta points that are available to you. Then there's your ambient temp information in there as well. So overall, again, we do a lot of testing in this regard, and we feel very confident about the overall thermal performance that you have available to you. So let me see right here if I can show you. Yeah, here it is. So there's a cool little kind of insert right here at the bottom, and you can essentially open up this little slide rail, and once you open up this little slide rail, you can see that you can go ahead and have access to the PCI slot covers right there. You can go ahead and install. Comes included with screwdriver, has a place for your cable ties, for zip ties right there, and then from there you also can go ahead and maybe put screws, or maybe like a flash drive that might come with your motherboard, or different accessories or items like that. So of course when you're not using that, you can pull that off, and that actually also can be unscrewed, and you can remove it, so that if you even want to kind of have a little bit of a different aesthetic or look or feel, you can do that in there as well. And so if you guys remember that light panel when I talked about right here, you can see right here kind of the flexibility of how the light model can be changed up, right, where there's different options that are available, right? So again, you've got for your kind of traditional show, right? But then you can see right here, there's options there for cooling. This could also be served for like things like a distro, right? And then those also options right there for things installing, like maybe supplemental storage, right? So you can see you've got a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do there with the Hyperion. Cable routing I already talked about. I'm not going to spend too much time there showing the back. Here's just a quick shot of the controller, as I noted, right, where you have a maximum of 8 ARGB devices and then 6 fans that can be run through that integrated controller that comes with the Hyperion. Okay. Talked about the 20 gigabits. I do like this. Not every chassis always has this, but you start to see this now fairly more common, where you do have the flexibility that you can fully remove the panel, so you can just go ahead and open it up and lift it out. So if you don't want to have to worry about kind of dropping it or just having easy access, you're good to go. Those handles also on the Hyperion are actually fully weight rated, so you can actually design to that if you wanted to be able to lift the chassis, just because with such a big system like that, it would be really hard to do it from the bottom, right? So that does give you a little bit more flexibility as well. So that is most of the points on the Hyperion. In terms of the overall price point, right now we have not 100% finalized, but we're going to probably be looking at or around a $500-ish price point in terms of the pricing for the Hyperion. There will not be a white version initially. We're going to be collecting feedback, and probably you'll be expecting availability within Q1 timeframe. So Q1 is of course January all the way to March. We'll have more information, on a week-to-week kind of basis once we're getting ready to release it to a channel. My expectation probably is going to be towards the end of February, maybe early March time frame for the Hyperion. Okay, let me go ahead, and before we get ready to go into our next item, let me just see if we have any quick questions right there. Yes, $500. So could I side rad if I wanted to? Yes, depending I guess on the thickness of the radiator, right? You could go ahead and go there, but I mean already with support for dual 420s, I think for the vast majority of users, that's already excessive in terms of performance, especially because the reality is that most users, there is no multi-GPU configuration that you actively run now, right? I mean, you're talking about one GPU and then one CPU. Even within the highest kind of configurations for that single one CPU and that one GPU, if you had an isolated RAD just for each one of those items, a 420 is more than sufficient for each one of those. So I think pushing to 3 really is kind of extreme. But, some people like that, right? It's entirely up to them, right? So Jake, our newest team member. If you guys don't know, some of you may be aware of Jake, and he was previously actually employed over with our friends at EK, but he's actually now part of Team ASUS. So he's answering some questions there in the chat. So if I'm not getting to your commentary or questions, of course, make sure to join us in the PCDIY group, which is linked in the description, and we can definitely follow up with you there. Or feel free to go ahead and tag Jake in the chat, and he can try to go ahead and make sure to see if he can follow up with you on that right there. All right, that PC is gorgeous, fantastic, so thank you so much. David asking about monitors, don't worry, we're going to get to the PG32UQ-XR and some other items right there. Looks amazing, very, very cool, right? So I think overall, looks pretty good. Oh, so somebody's asking about for the vertical mount grapher, does it come with the adapter? So yes, it already should come with the bracket, essentially a supporting for vertical mounting, but you'll still need to supply your own, you'll need to support your own riser cable, okay? All right, so I think that should cover us there. So again, hopefully that covers everything there for the Hyperion. Again, if anybody has any other quick questions, feel free and let me know. We do have a dedicated post for most of the products I'm going to be talking about. I have a dedicated post that I've already answered a lot of questions in the PCDIY group for these products, okay? So let's get ready to go into just a quick update on the GT502. So the GT502, for you guys that are not aware, that is our split chamber chassis. I've gone ahead and already talked about this one in the past. I'm hopefully to do actually a build on this guy in the not too distant future. But let me go ahead and just show it to you right now. It's a great looking chassis. And you can actually get it now. It is finally available. It's finally listed. The black should be listed in the not too distant future, but I just want to give a quick update right here. This is the GT502. So here you can kind of see it from the front, 2 Type A, Type C, nice elevated design right here. Lots of support in terms of radiator flexibility and different types of mounting solutions. Also, unlike something like the O11, you don't have to worry about any compression for the cable. So you can go ahead and go horizontal, or you can go vertical. Great price point. I think 170 for the white and then 160 for the black. You can do 360 here. You can of course do fans right here. You can do also fans right here. And actually the really cool part is on the rear of the GT502, you can also do fans, you can do storage, or you can do a radiator configuration. Not, I would say, the optimal scenario, but if you want to have something that kind of just looks different, feels different, that's a kind of alternative route that you can go in terms of the overall setup. So it is a really cool option right there. And the white model, if you guys notice, we took a lot of care. To my knowledge, we're the only manufacturer that we did everything in essentially a matching color scheme. So nice off-white grommets, and then all the cables on the GT502 are all white. So really, really look great. You can see the rear mounting position right here to give you more flexibility. Nice elevated spacing there at the bottom for also that intake or exhaust configuration, depending on how you want to run things. The handles on the top, those straps are fully functional. Again, you can also lift the system. Nice, easy access. I think we've got Matt here in the chat. And Matt did a build in the GT502, fantastic chassis. And let me go ahead and just give you a quick visual of kind of like what, I guess you could build in it if you want to be able to kind of check it out. Let me see if I can hopefully, if I can bring up Matt's build here, I'll do that. But if not, I know on our website we already have it available. But I want to go ahead and link you guys in the chat to the ASUS store. You can go ahead and pick it up right now. But again, this is the GT502 in black. And there you can kind of just see an example of how much you could kind of fit in there if you wanted to go with a custom water-cooled setup, okay? So overall, really, really great option. And again, you can see right there, 169 right there. And if we pop over right there, the black, it should be showing up, I think, within literally the next couple of days. Hopefully by Monday, we should probably have it online. And then you can see right there, $5 off. So 175 for the white. So 175 for the white, or 170 for the black. So get whichever one you want, but I think going to be an awesome choice right there. So now finally available, okay? And let me go ahead and pop that in the chat right there. And kind of just tying in there a little bit with the GT502, I'm going to cheat. I know I was trying to keep a little bit of an order, but let me go ahead and actually show off a little bit of a cool teaser. Again, for some of you that are already kind of watching in the group, this won't be new for you, but we've got our new next generation TUF Gaming AIO. So this will actually be the TUF Gaming AIO. It's inside of this GT502 right here. And we can go ahead and see it's got a really, really cool kind of pump housing design to it. So this will be the TUF Gaming LC2. So we currently already have the Ryujin 2, we have the Ryu 3, we have the ROG Strix LC2, and the TUF Gaming was updated with the ARGB line, but now this will be the formal kind of update to the TUF Gaming LC series with the LC2. And I think it has a little bit kind of a more kind of rugged design appearance, a little bit kind of a more bunker vibe, but it looks really, really, really great. Really complements the look and feel of, I think, the TUF Gaming components. And it also has a nice, really clean, compact housing. So if you're looking for something that's really clean and compact and tight, nice there. The design is a little bit different. It's not utilizing the same ASUS-based solution that we have within our other products, like what we have within the ROG Strix series, or within either the TUF Gaming LC series. But this one will be coming out in the not too distant future. Look for a little bit more information probably as we get closer towards the end of Q1 timeframe. But just giving you a little bit of a teaser here on the newest cooler in terms of what we're going to have for the TUF Gaming LC series. So LC series 2. All right, guys. All right, so that's going to be cool there. Let me go ahead and quickly just see if we had any quick questions on the GT502 before we get into the next part. Also, as a soft update, I know some people have been asking about whether or not we will bring in tempered glass version of the AP201, and right now that's something we are discussing with our headquarters team, so you might possibly see a tempered glass variant in the future. But as of right now, we don't have any immediate plans for it, but make sure to keep it tuned. That could be changing, in a couple of weeks. Hey, Windfall, I will be talking about GPUs a little bit later, but I can already tell you there is no 7900 XTX ROG. Our only 7900 XTXs, which are launching right now, are going to be the TUF Gaming version. So we'll have a TUF Gaming 7900 XT, and we'll have a 7900 XTX TUF Gaming as well. Okay? All right. I love the look of the pump housing. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it looks really, really, really cool. Yep. Let me just go ahead and see right here. Yeah, Auntie, yeah, thanks. Yeah, we definitely did spend a lot of effort to, I think, really, really look at trying to really give a refined design on that model right there. Okay, still debating if I go white. PGPCs. Let me see right here. Still debating if I go white with the GT502 or the black version for my all-TUF build. That's a tough call. I think the white we did purposely more as just an option to be able to have a very popular option, because we don't want it to be limited to just being for just all TUF Gaming based products, because of course most of our white products are either under Prime or ROG, right? For us, we just hope that this is a great option that regardless of whatever you're putting inside of that GT502, that you'd be considering it because we're making a quality chassis. I think that's an important part for us, just like in terms of our AIOs, in terms of our power supplies and our coolers. You should be considering us as individual products, not just within an ecosystem perspective, right? Okay, all right, let's go ahead and keep moving things along here, guys. And again, if anybody has any kind of specific ones that I haven't gotten to, feel free and let me know. I'm going to do my best to go ahead and get to them when I can. So that covers us for our chassis. So next up, what did I have after chassis? Okay, coolers. Quick update on the Ryu. So let me go ahead and just give you guys a quick update here on the Ryu. And I will also go ahead and show you the Ryu cooler if you guys are not aware of the Ryu. So let me go ahead and bring that up here. So the Ryu 3, that's the one that we showed in the Hyperion build. Okay. And let me just check my quick notes here. Ryu, we are now expecting for mid to late February release, okay? So the Ryu, I already did a little bit of a demo. If you guys want to actually see it kind of a little bit closer up, you can actually check out a build again. Mr. Matt Lee, he's got a fantastic build that he did with the GT502 and with the Ryu 3 that's in there. I think there's a couple of other people in the PCDIY group that already have got it from overseas that also have it kind of featured, but it's got a really, really beautiful metal, like I said, housing. It's knurled, vacuum cone of lens so that it doesn't get scratched easily, nice and bright, and it has our anime matrix pixel based display, and so that allows for a little bit more of kind of a stylized aesthetic that looks different than the screen that we have on the Ryujin, which is a traditional screen. It's the largest screen on the market. So here, this is a bold, bright, circular based screen, nice integrated pump housing with the cable that's recessed on the inside, so really, really nice and clean. And we will offer this and white and we will offer it in black. It will come in a 240 version and in a 360 version. These are the ROG ring barrier static pressure optimized RGB fans that also come included with the unit. And again, this will be the first unit on the market that features the 8th gen Asetek based pump. So it has a 3-phase motor, it has a larger square cold plate, increased tubing diameter, more internal coolant, overall just better performance. A great option if you're looking for. And for anybody wondering, you can fully customize it. It comes with like 10 different presets in terms of visuals that you can go ahead and have on the Ryu. And it also supports things like, stat monitoring. So if you want to go ahead and put things like, you can click over to system monitoring, you can have like your fan speed, you can have clock speeds. You can also go into the pixel editor and fully customize it and kind of individually control the pixels if you wanted to do your own thing. So you're good to go. And of course, this is fully supported for both AMD and for Intel based platforms. Okay. So again, mid-February, it'll be coming. I don't have a finalized price point for you, but just make sure to keep it tuned in that guy if you're going to be interested in that one. Okay. Cooling fans, I also have an update for you guys, for anybody that's kind of interested in the TUF Gaming the TUF Gaming white fans. So we already launched the TUF Gaming 120mm black fans, the single pack and the 3-pack, but the white will be coming probably in about, I'd say, a month time frame in terms of its overall availability. So there was a little bit of a push out in terms of that regard, but yeah, be looking around, like I said, probably around a month time frame, we should have the TUF Gaming 120mm white fans. See if I have a quick image right here of those. They do look great. Those fans do look fantastic. Let me see right here. TUF Gaming 120. Do I have them here? I don't have them here, but that's okay. I can bring them up on our website. TUF Gaming 120mm RGB fan. And I believe on the site we have both models listed, the white and the black. See right here. Yeah, there we go. So if you guys want to check out some more information, one of the really cool things about these is they have a really great level of performance when it comes to their static pressure and their overall airflow. Usually this is quite a bit more compromised on a traditional ARGB fan. They also use a very nice high quality FDB bearing. This is kind of the same type of ultra high quality bearing that you would see like on a Noctua based class. A lot of the fans in the market are going to be much more in this hydraulic bearing, fluid bearing, or rifle bearing. And a lot of people don't realize that bearings actually have different levels of performance depending on their axis. So whether they're horizontally or vertically mounted, a fluid dynamic bearing actually has much more consistent performance and a much more consistent lifespan in either orientation. So if you're going to have your fans in different types of orientations for the long term and for reliability, having an FDB type bearing is really actually ideal. Another point too is going to be this what we call curve. A lot of people always focus on max fan speed, but most people don't run max fan speed. The important part is actually more so what's the performance of the fan, usually what I refer to in the sweet spot. So the sweet spot's usually going to be somewhere between 600 to 1200 RPM. Also has integrated vibration pads that are in there. You can see it's a dual layer of actually LEDs in there. So generally it's almost about twice the number of LEDs that you have in more standard type of RGB fans. So really bold, bright, and even consistent lighting that's available to you. It comes with a massive number of actually options in terms of the tuning. So there's a huge number of actually presets that are available to you, and the little included controller in the 4-pack will also allow you that if you've got an older system and you don't even have an ARGB header, you're good to go. You can still use that. So entirely up to you. And again, you can see this will be the white, really beautiful, looks great, and it will look fantastic in that GT502, right? All right. So that's going to be an update there on those fans. All right. So let's go ahead and quickly give an update on the power supplies before we get to some of the other newer items. So for the power supplies, I've got a couple of updates here for you guys. So I think the first one is that the follow-up to the 1000 watt that we had for the Thor P2 series. right? We now finally have the update coming in for this guy, which is going to be the Thor 1600 watt. You can see I already went ahead and did the post here for it. It'll be coming in about the next 7 to 14 days. Its MSRP is going to be coming in at $700, but this is a ultra premium based 1600 watt. It is actually going to be quieter than what you would see from other options in the marketplace, like the Corsair AX1600i, Seasonic, EVGA solutions. Also, it comes with premium individually sleeved cables. There's also no inline capacitors, which is really nice for allowing for nice smoother bends to the cable as well. It does come included with the actual new generation, of course, PCIe cable for the latest generation graphics cards, like a 4080, 4090 series class. Some people wonder, though, do I really need a 1600 watt? I'm not making a recommendation for 1600 watt for the vast majority of you. The vast majority of you really would be fine with an 800 to 1000 watt, and even in a rarefied category, going to a 1200 watt. 1600 watt is really for the ultra elite users in there. Maybe they're ranging HEDT platforms, right? Maybe they're running actually multi-GPU for maybe compute-based purposes. They're definitely maybe in that overclocking community also could be an option for that, or just looking for the absolute best, right? So that is really kind of the segment for the user that is going to be interested in going with a 1600 watt. Of course, you also get the wattage display on that model, and you also have the ARGB lighting, which can be synchronized with the rest of the system. So that is going to be that model. And keep in mind, again, it's not talked about, but also 1600 watts, they can definitely be louder than a lot of other products, just because they are so dense and there's a lot of power topology in there. So not only kind of like a hallmark of the 1600 watt, but actually all of ROG series power supplies is their ultra quiet operation, and that's due to having their internal heat sinks. We use about twice the size of a heatsink size compared to other power supplies. So that allows it to run at a lower temperature and ultimately actually much quieter as well. So that is a cool benefit that we have there. So 1600 watt. Now, some people are asking, okay, what about the other power supplies, JJ? I know we've got people that are interested in the Loki and in the TUF Gaming Gold and in the 1200 watt. And am I missing one? The Loki 1200 watt. ROG STRIX Aura. Okay, so let's go in order. The Loki series right now probably going to be looking, I'd say in the end of February timeframe. Now there was again a little bit of just an overall logistic kind of delay in that regard. So we're now expecting overall Loki availability to be in terms of like I said, about the end of February timeframe. That will be an SFXL up to 1000 watt base power supply, and that will actually support also the latest PCIe specification, and be ATX 3.0. Has really nice premium cables to it, really nice cables. The TUF Gaming Gold, which will be our first standard ATX 3.0 base power supply, which is also fully modular. Those, we're going to probably have those in mid-March timeframe. I already did show images of these before. You can see them online if you're interested in, but we will have the TUF Gaming Gold. And then in probably the very end of March, maybe even rolling into April, will be the ROG STRIX Aura ATX 3.0 power supplies. So those will be kind of a follow-up replacement to our current ROG STRIX series power supplies, and those will also be ATX 3.0. And again, I have gone ahead and actually done a little bit of a post and write-up already for those in the PCDIY group with answered questions and full image breakdowns for those models. So that covers us on the power supplies. Before we get ready to go into the next segment, though, next series of products that are new here for CES, let me go ahead and double check right here. Let me see. So Dupont says, I'd like to start 90-degree adapters include with power supplies for GPUs and motherboard ports. It's interesting. One of the challenges that you actually have with 90-degree adapters, and it's part of the same reason why we also don't necessarily always like doing right angle on like motherboards. Motherboards, one, you have to consider mechanical clearance issues, but physically, anytime, of course, you add an additional, essentially, endpoint, right, into a connector, you're adding resistance, and resistance can actually lower efficiency. It's actually a big challenge also when you're talking about trying to measure efficiency for power supplies and the length that you define for the cable length that comes included with the power supply. But definitely, I know from an aesthetically minded user, some users are looking for that, but it would also add, I think, a considerable cost. While it might seem like a fairly nominal accessory, you could easily be scaling up the cost by quite a bit, especially if it was validated to meet the same current handling performance and very high quality level of design. So I wouldn't say it's off the table. I definitely know it's something actually we've talked about for or even ROG Thor series based products and some of our other more specialized products. But I think the concern is also it introduces another point of issue in terms of fitment and also, like I said, resistance, which can also lead to temperature issues and other factors. So it's always a little bit of a balancing act with that, but definitely still good feedback in that regard. Are we getting a 1200 watt version of the Thor 2? Yes. I'm sorry if I didn't clarify that. The 1000 watt is already, of course, available. 1600 watt will be next, and then the 1200 watt will be available shortly. I think probably for the 1200 watt, you'll probably see it maybe by the very end of February timeframe, maybe early March. Again, just watch week to week in terms of the PCDIY group. As soon as I have channel availability announcement information for the 1200 watt, I will go ahead and put that in there. Let me go sit. Auntie's asking, please put USB BIOS flashback buttons on all motherboards. It's not just about putting the motherboard. You actually have to have a special controller on the motherboard to enable USB BIOS flashback, so it does enable more costs. Of course, we were the ones that invented that feature, and we started off on very high-end motherboards, and now we've put it down onto motherboards that are much in a lower price band. But it still does affect pricing. But overall, going from literally one board to, I would say that probably now 50% of our motherboards have that feature. I think that's been an extensive scaling out of that type of feature to be able to be beneficial to many users. And the reality is not every user really needs that feature or function, right? It's really just kind of a more specialized feature, but I think it is nice. We'll be talking about the monitors in a little bit, so no worries about that. How about a Loki in white? There's no plans for a Loki in white. And I think it's also a little bit more challenging to justify the Loki in white just because most small form factor builds are going to be compact and you can't see anything inside of them. You can see at least a little bit of the lighting sometimes if there's a little bit of perforation, I think, within the systems. But we're going to collect feedback. If maybe we see really strong demand, I'm not going to say no. We have right now the biggest white ecosystem in the industry, so it's a possibility, but no guarantees at this point. Same thing for the people that are asking about maybe a potential Thor in white. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and keep moving that along. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the next item. So we did, of course, chassis, coolers, the fans, and power supplies. All right, so now I'm going to give people the opportunity to chime in. Let's go ahead. Do we want to talk about the chair or do we want to talk about monitors? Let's go ahead. We're going to do 10 seconds. Put it in the chat, and we're going to go ahead and we'll either go with monitors or we're going to go with chair. All right, so let's go ahead. 10-second countdown. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I'm going to go ahead and check there. And I do see a quick question right there. Is motherboards any news on TUF? Yes. So actually, I'll be touching on that a little bit later. But yes, we do have a couple of updates that came out of CES. Of course, we launched our entire range of 700 series motherboards for B and H series. But we also did specifically release 2 new updated models specifically for the Z790 based platform. So that is going to be with the ROG STRIX Z790-A and then the ROG STRIX Z790-H. So those are the 2 most immediate updated models that we have right there. In terms of the TUF Gaming Z790 DDR5, go ahead and tag me in the group or email me pcdiy@asus.com and I'll see. Generally, we did release that same model priorly in Z690, but still the strongest demand came from the DDR4 variant, so it'll be a little bit tentative on whether or not we'll kind of bring in the DDR5 based variant. But I think with reduced pricing, of course, with DDR5 occurring and ultimately the best performance existing with DDR5, there's value in terms of maybe having that. So just make sure to go ahead and keep it tuned, tag me, and I'll see if I can confirm on a timeline for that. All right, so let's see what we have right here in terms of what the feedback was. All right, monitors, chair. I'm happy with both monitor, chair, monitor, chair. All right, it looks. I think the chair won. Any news on a Z690 White Extreme? No, we have no plans to make any new motherboards in white beyond what we're already doing. So right now on AMD, that would be our Prime series and our ROG Strix series motherboards. You can get both of those in white, including X670E, so very high-end base motherboards. And then similarly on the Intel side, right, we've got white with the Apex. We didn't bring a formula, so that's the reason why kind of we did the Apex in white as well. And then we have the Prime series and the ROG Strix series. Okay, all right, so let's go with the chair. All right, let me go ahead and get my images out right here. This guy was a pretty special. This is something actually I've been super excited about, and I've had to kind of keep it quiet for a really long time because we were working on this, you know, for literally almost about maybe 2 years in terms of the overall design and development. So the real kind of big design intent here is let's go ahead and take a lovely look here at one of my friends and of course at Nice Media, Paul from Paul's Hardware, who's sitting in, of course, the ROG chair right there. And did give it some nice feedback, and actually every media that sat in it, I think actually gave us really great feedback and reviews that they really liked the look, the feel, the finish of the overall chair. So let's go ahead and take a look at this guy right here. So this is going to be the chair right here. So overall, you're going to see it features quite a bit more of a distinctive design aesthetic than what we've had, of course, with the ROG Chariot. And really kind of the goal that we wanted to have in regards to the chair was to really, I think, define something that hit, I think, 3 different levels of usage. One, we want to have something that hit just a comfortable range of ergonomic adjustment, great for just general kind of typing, but also was comfortable for gaming and also kind of like chilling at your system or your setup, right? And so the reason why that's important is that, let's say if maybe you're leaning back and maybe you're propping up your arms or your forearms on the rests and you want flexibility to maybe kind of have something like a book or maybe a tablet or let's say a phone, a switch, different types of devices like that. Some kind of traditional office chairs aren't designed to really have maybe that lean back experience and support that. So we tried to look at a lot of aspects in terms of the overall design and experience to hit different types of comfort in different types of scenarios. And this also goes through a lot of the material choice. So you're going to see here that we've gone with a mesh material that's to really allow for a high degree of breathability, a high degree of comfort when you're sitting in this chair for a long period of time, but still well balanced and also not spaced out so that where you've got things kind of going through there or doesn't feel that it's going to be comfortable and supporting you. And that's also asserted by that in the back will show that it actually has a large brace. There's actually a large die cast aluminum brace that really helps to add rigidity. This chair can actually support up to 330 pounds, people that are over 6'1". These rests right here that you're going to see, these are actually PU. The PU is really nice and soft, so even if you kind of put your arms, your forearms, your elbows on that, it's not going to actually be like a hot spot, where a lot of times it's very common that those are going to be very hard material, so they don't feel comfortable and you don't want to lay on them. You don't want to, lay down your elbow or your arm on the rest. You have a high degree of adjustment. You can do height. You can do full 360 degrees on it as well, and you can also go ahead and go and adjust the depth. So you can go back or you can go forwards on it. So a lot of range of adjustment in that regard. The casters right here, the wheels right here, they're going to be PU grade. They're non-marring, so they're great for carpet. They're great for hard surfaces. You're going to be good to go. Nice straps that are also on here, which allow you to actually know whether you're adjusting tilt, depth, what you're going to actually be kind of making an adjustment to on this model right here. You're also going to see right here this 4D headrest. It's actually a 4D headrest, so that means that you can go ahead and pull it out, you can pull it back, you can go up, you can go down, you can really kind of actually adjust it, and it's also got enough swoop space to be very comfortable for even if you're wearing a headset. And this large item right here, this is an acoustic kind of baffle, and so really what it helps to do is helps to mitigate kind of higher frequency noises from getting into that space around your head to keep it a little bit quieter. And it actually really works. A lot of people at CES were surprised when they sat in the chair that they kind of noticed when they turned around just how it kind of quieted down a little bit of that space and didn't get so much pronounced noise that was coming directly to their ears. And that can be removed, but it's a really kind of just nice accent that we have there. When you look here at the back, it's got a really nice clean design finish to it. Again, this is all die cast aluminum, really premium finish and feel to the chair. It looks really great. You have integrated lumbar support right here. It's very easy to go ahead and adjust, so you can go ahead and push in, you can push back right, so you got a nice degree of adjustment that's going to be available to you right there. Again, you can see those straps there for the adjustment, right, and the overall kind of design. Again, definitely, it has some vibes there that give it a little bit of kind of that gaming vibe, but not heavy. So if you're somebody that still wants to have this in a space that might feel a little bit kind of more minimal, a little bit more refined, a little bit more professional. I still think it looked great in there, but at the same time, it adds a lot of really cool elements. Now, in terms of the back adjustment, you can go ahead and prop this into 4 different back adjustment ranges. So 90 degrees, I think 110, 120, 135. So really, really nice to kind of just find that right nice sweet spot. You can lock it into place. So if you want to have a lean back, maybe use something like your controller, you know, you can do that. Or like I said, you want to prop up your elbows, be using like your phone, you can do that. Or lean back and maybe just be watching a stream, you can also do that. But when you want to game or you want to essentially be focused on productivity, you can go ahead and prop it up and get that nice balanced support that you have available to you. Really, really love the overall look and feel of this. I think this looks great in terms of the chair. This is actually with some of our IKEA furniture that you'll see right here in terms of this desk. And here you can see a little bit of that lean back, right, that's present there where it's kind of locked into place. And still, like I said, that headrest doesn't push up enough to where, like I said, it would be in conflict with you wanting to wear earphones, which some headrests do. And a lot compared to a lot of gaming chairs where they're just kind of putting like a pillow or something that a lot of people just throw off, you really actually have a high degree of comfort there that feels quite nice. Now, the seat base also, if you're somebody like myself that might be taller and you might need more support for your legs, the seat base also can go up and it can go back. So that's also fully adjustable as well. And this material right here is a really nice, soft, breathable material. It's also been designed to very easily take just a nice style cloth and just kind of wipe it clean so that you can go ahead and, you know, keep that sanitary as well. And as you notice right there, that's where I was talking about with the straps, where you can see that they're nicely kind of detailed right there. Very easy to kind of lift up and lock in place, where you got tilt, depth, and height on the other sides right there. And also some nice just little markings right there to also let you know exactly where you're making that adjustment if you want to kind of lock that into place. So that is going to be the chair. In terms of the overall ETA, we're probably going to be looking to have this before the end of Q1 timeframe. We have not 100% haven't finalized on the actual pricing, but you can expect it to be competitive kind of within this high-end price category segmentation. So I'd say at or around that kind of $1,000-ish price point. Definitely that's an investment to be made, but again, anybody that'll tell you that they've made an investment in a premium chair in terms of not only the comfort, but the build quality, I think all of them will tell you that it's worthwhile the investment. So we're really excited about this. Again here, this is that soft PU material, really, really nice and comfortable in terms of the overall feel. And again, even this has a little bit of a 14 centimeter raise, like I said, just to have a little bit of extra padding so that if, like I said, you put your elbows right there, it feels nice and comfortable. And I also really love the fact, because you have the 360 degree movement, you can angle that inward. So you can angle it in like this. So an example is that if you angle it right, you could put your arms kind of like this, right? So you can rest this portion, you can rest your actual arm rest right there, and you can kind of hold it in place. So it's actually quite comfortable. Where if your like armrests can't actually fully adjust in that regard, you're kind of locked in where it's like they're left there and then maybe they're not really supporting you, they're not doing anything, or if you can't go low enough with them, then they're also annoying. So it's really, really nice that literally you can go really low, you can go really high, you can push them up, you can push them back, you can turn them 360 degrees, tons of flexibility in terms of how you can work with them. So that is going to be the chair. And let me go ahead and, if I didn't put the information in there, let me go ahead and actually just put the name in there. I thought put that in there. Give me 1 second. I'll drop that in there. Let me see. Yeah, I did not. So let me go ahead and actually drop that in there. And I'm going to go ahead and double check and see if anybody has just any quick questions on that guy. Some people also, I know, they may be asking like, hey, you know, for like the ROG Chariot, you guys had like 2 versions of the Chariot, where you had like a little bit more of an expensive version and you had one that was a little bit cheaper. Is there going to be the possibility of maybe having like a lower cost version? It's a possibility. Right now at this point, we're just focusing on this model, but there is some, you know, discussion and plans in terms of that regard, right? All right. any ETA on the ASUS. So I'll be talking about the keyboards in a little bit. We already actually just had a quick stock of the ASUS for the blue switches, the red switches, and the brown switches. They sold out. If you were part of our PCDIY group, you found out about that notice and you were able to pick it up before it sold out. But we will have hopefully a restock, I'd say, on Monday on the ASUS store, and we'll be posting availability in the PCDIY group as soon as that's listed. The largest scale inventory will start to come online in March, but we'll have a little bit more of a limited availability at some more e-tailers coming up in February timeframe. So again, we'll have a little bit of a listing coming up on, like I said, probably Monday. Make sure to keep it tuned to the PCDIY group if you want to find out about that kind of short listing there for the ASUS. And then, like I said, more availability will be coming in February, and then a very large level of availability will be available in March. Okay? All right. All right, so let me go ahead and check right here. See if I have any questions right there. Does the headrest have RGB? No, there's no RGB on the chair at all. Christian says, I'm going to get one for sure. It looks so good. Okay, fantastic. Really, really good. Thank you for that positive feedback right there, right? H2O, yes. So like I said, probably approximating somewhere around that $1,000 price point in terms of that. But again, when we have the final MSRP, we'll definitely communicate that not only in future streams, but of course in a formal announcement, right? Yes, Paskowitz, I did already talk about that. Yeah, just like I said, you can go back and get the full recap on the PSUs, but Loki is now going to probably be looking at the very end of probably February timeframe, okay? Go ahead and see. The Poets is saying, is that there any Easter eggs? There may be. You're just going to have to see. We're going to have to get you one sent over, right, and put it over in your desk setup, and you're going to have to let us know. So we'll see how that goes. Yes, 330 pounds is the limit. So even for individuals that are going to be a little bit on that bigger side, no problems. And like I said, also for individuals that might be a little bit taller, so even 5'11", 5'12", 6 foot, 6'1", about 6'2", it still actually can accommodate you as well. Okay, all right, that's going to cover us in the chair. We need to keep going because we got tons of different stuff to go there. So I think because we did go ahead and say chair or monitor, we're going to go into monitors. So let's get ready to jump into the updates on the monitors. So let's get ready to go, and I guess first things first, let me go ahead and see what I have listed up here. So I'll kind of try to go through some of these pretty quickly. So we've got, of course, the ROG Swift OLED, right? That's the 27-inch OLED, right? This guy is going to be coming in the not too distant future. It'll be here kind of before you know it. And there's not too much I think I kind of really need to highlight on this model. I think because we've gone ahead and already talked about it in prior streams, but if you are interested, this is going to, of course, be, our first 27-inch based OLED gaming product, right? So we already have 13-inch OLED, we have 15-inch OLED, we'll have 27-inch OLED, we have a 32-inch OLED, and we have 42 and we have 48. So we have a really big lineup already in terms of OLED-based gaming displays and OLED displays in general. So pretty sweet. The big benefit here is really going to be, if you're not familiar, right, with OLED, is going to be its outstanding, of course, contrast, right, where you, of course, have that per pixel lighting, so it can truly go to black. That's going to be outstanding. And of course, the pixel response time is ultra tight and it's consistent across the entirety of the screen. Something that people forget about is that when you see kind of pixel response time, so you see like 1 millisecond, that might just be a peak measurement. The reality is that you actually can have variable pixel response across the entirety of the display, and it also actually depends on the colors, which is part of the reason why you get motion blur. And motion blur can actually be variable depending on the colors that you're shifting from. So that's the reason why there's like 1 millisecond gray to gray, but actually you can have different response values depending on what's being transitioned. With OLED, though, the great thing is that the consistency of the pixel refresh is really, really, really tight. So it tends to be that whether it's here, 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 it's pretty much consistent. Now, we've done a lot of work on LCDs with like our latest generation ROG Swift 1440p 360 hertz, where it has pretty tight pixel response, because we also use something called a dual voltage driver, where we have voltage that instead of just being sent from this point on the monitor all the way to this point, there's actually a dual voltage technology which drives it here and here, and this allows for a more consistent form of response across the panel. But that is going to be your big benefit, because also of some optimizations in terms of the layering design. This actually also allows for some, let's say, less loss of the transmission of light, and this actually allows for the display to be brighter. So this comes with the latest generation of the panel that's also utilized in here, and so this actually allows it to get to a peak of HDR 1000 nits, which is really nice. Traditionally, OLEDs would not get that bright, so you can really have actually not only a great traditional SDR experience, but also a nice quality SDR gaming experience. The ID design has of course been refined on this model as well, where it's a really thin, clean, super thin bezel, nice premium metal base on the back, and we also have an integrated active airflow heatsink design, and so that heatsink design is going to help to keep the OLED subpixel structure ultimately cooler. That is helps maximize the performance, mitigate the possibility of burn-in, but that is still a reality in terms of OLEDs. There is a little bit of a difference in terms of the warranty. Traditional monitors that we have a 3-year select warranty. On our OLED products, it'll be a 2-year select warranty, so keep that in mind. There's a little bit of difference. In terms of the expected MSRP price point, you're going to probably be looking somewhere at about like the $1,100 price point, approximately, in terms of the MSRP. Within that pricing. You can also still continue to expect that this unit will have full factory calibration. So you're going to get great color quality and accuracy right out of the box. And it also will come with a center mounted console. So this little console right here, there's a little center mounted console allow you to make all the adjustments in the OSD. But one of the really cool things that I really actually like that our monitors have that doesn't actually get talked about that often is going to be that we have something called Display Widget, and this model will actually have our newer version of Display Widget software. And the Display Widget software is really nice because, actually I can show you guys right here. So this is an example of the Display Widget software. Give me 1 second here. All right. And so you can actually load up the software and you can make adjustments to things like your brightness, your contrast, your sharpness, your color temperature. You can have actually specific presets like, FPS to RTS to racing to scenery to sRGB. I really like using what's called this app sync profile option, which means that I can have it paired to different applications and allows you to do this all in Windows, so you don't ever have to physically touch the button. So I love the ability that I can go and load up, let's say, my browser, have that in sRGB, then I want to jump into Forza, I can have that be like in racing mode, and then if I was to jump into like an FPS game, maybe I want a little bit more contrast, or I want shadow boost enabled, things like that, right? You could do that all and just pair that with applications through the app sync functionality to be able to easily have it toggle from one level to another level. So that is going to be the Display Widget software. So that is going to be the ROG Swift 27-inch OLED product. So that is, again, that's right there, the model number PG27AQDM OLED. And I think we are going to have a notification model that'll be listed on the product page. So if you kind of want to get notified as soon as it becomes available, you can. But we'll also probably try to maybe have a little bit of a advanced notice for people that are part of the PCDIY group if they're interested in picking up that model. Okay. Will the PG will having an OLED make me a better gamer? It might not maybe make you a better gamer, although the response definitely is nice when it comes to the overall display latency, right, that you're experiencing from gaming. But I definitely think it'll help you enjoy the game that much more. So I would say that's pretty cool. So Thomas, actually, I did talk a little bit about that in terms of the panel technology. So the panel technology is essentially, without getting super in the weeds about it, it's a revision to the actual panel, right, which actually allows for an optimization in terms of how actually light loss occurs. And so essentially you're able to focus that light and allow that to be transmitted more. And that allows for essentially a higher level of luminance. So essentially a brighter level of panel, because you always actually have some loss from the pixel itself emitting against the actual layer that you have on the panel. So there's been optimizations within that to allow that to be improved, which is part of the reason why it can be rated for HDR 1000 nits, right? Alex is asking about the coding. So this, I think if you actually watch the feedback from CES from media, we literally showed this off to thousands of people, and all the media thought it looked clear, sharp, and great. They didn't have any concerns. I know that there's some people that want, a super ultra glossy, but our perspective is that for monitors, an AR type coating is the best option because it helps to be the best experience across the most amount of users, right? And in scenarios where I think even like in CES, it was a great example where there's like overhead lighting, they had different things going on. People didn't have to worry about reflections, where when you have glossy, when it's super glossy, you can literally see yourself in there. You can have bright reflections that are going to be present in there. And especially when you start to go to a dark environment, the darker it gets, the value proposition of having the glossy to no glossy, it tends to get I think reduced. And so the value proposition is really only strong. It's oddly strongest when it doesn't tend to have as much relevancy, right? When it's going to get darkest. So, you know, I think it comes down to a preference. We'll continue to collect feedback, but right now we have no plans to change the coating and the polarizer implementation that's present on there. So it is an AR-based coating. And as I already noted, for the cooling, it has a heatsink design with active cooling to help to go ahead and keep the actual OLED substructure cooler to be able to go ahead and maintain better lifespan for the product, right? ETA for Canada, I can't tell you. It'll probably be a little bit after the US-based release. So if, let's say, we're able to have the release occur within, you know, mid to late Q1, it probably maybe be early Q2 for Canada. Could possibly be, you know, maybe at the same time, but I think this will be dependent. But I think just based on the history right now of logistics and processing, when we're talking about to Canada, it takes a little bit longer in that regard. Okay. Let me just go ahead and see there. All right, let's see if there's any other quick questions right there. All right, so I think we're going to go into the next. Some people that are asking about the difference between exactly the warranty structure that we're going to have present for the OLED monitor. Make sure to just keep it tuned. We'll cover that more when it's actually been released in there. Like I said, right now we're just started to finalize on some of those specifics, but like I said, there's a 2-year warranty. I think one thing though that ASUS is doing that we're, I think, already a little bit better than other competitors. An example is right now, if you bought an LCD from ASUS as opposed to, let's say, LG or Samsung, LG and Samsung don't even openly disclose what is called a zero bright dot policy or a dead pixel policy. There's no listed information on what actually would be covered or what wouldn't be covered. We adhere to open ISO production standards and clearly will state whether if you meet this criteria, let's say dead pixels or bright dot pixels, it would be covered under this scenario, depending actually on the number and the location that you have within the product. So I think that already shows an advantage in terms of our transparency. Also, on average, our warranty period is longer. You know, many LCDs out there in the market are only offering a 1-year warranty. We offer a 3-year limited warranty. So, you know, I think we definitely try to be cognizant, but, you know, also if you're really looking for the longest term reliability in a product, this is where LCD, as much as OLED has some really nice advantages to it, an LCD may still be the best choice if you're looking for the absolute best guarantee that you don't run into any concerns. And I think this comes down to usage. In my discussion, I think with users and media, I kind of present it from the perspective, if you're predominantly gaming on this monitor and really only gaming on this monitor, then I think it's a great option to be able to purchase in terms of its performance, right? 240 hertz, 1440p, that 0.3 millisecond response time, the factory calibration, the 1000 nits, the outstanding, you know, color gamut performance. Those are all fantastic technologies. But when you have to account for also desktop productivity, fixed text, and things along those lines that you might have when you're talking about a more desktop related use and having the possibility of burn-in, that's where it might be more sensible to consider maybe a high performance LCD. You know, LCDs can offer comparable and actually even greater color gamut coverage. The response time is going to be a little bit higher, but you can still have outstanding response time. Refresh rate is parity or higher, right? And the refresh rate is, the resolution is going to be the same. And in some situations, some people actually prefer the subpixel structure as well in terms of actually sharpness for certain types of text rendering as well. So, you know, there are you know, benefits to both, right? It just comes down to what you're looking for. And we do offer currently an ROG Swift 1440 hertz 360 hertz monitor, which is actually almost the same price. I think it's $1050, and the ROG Swift OLED is going to be maybe about $1100. So it's going to be like literally the same price. So which one are you going to go in? Are you going to go with the ultra fast IPS, or are you going to go with the OLED, right? At being about effectively the same price point, right? Okay, so that's gonna cover the OLED. If somebody has more questions on it, feel free and let me know. But you know, like I said, I need to keep trying to get through everything that we've got here. So let me go ahead and just keep moving that along. Give me 1 second here. We're gonna get to our next monitor. So this is going to be, yeah, the ROG Swift right here. And actually this is a good little kind of like, this is a good option here as we kind of move into this monitor, is we can go to this guy, and this gives us a little quick recap of kind of the two kind of hero gaming displays that we had on there. Although I know a lot of people are interested in the mini LED, the PG32 UQXR, and we're going to be talking about that one shortly here, and also the ultra wide, because I know people are interested in the ultra wide. So here on the other end of the spectrum, we have, of course, our journey to 1000 hertz. You know, we're the first to 120, 144, 240, 360. So now we've got the 540 hertz. So this 540 hertz, actually an update, I can tell you actually in our newest revision information. So even coming out of CES, the 540 hertz tentatively will not even be in overclock mode. It will be a native operating level of actually 540. Now some people immediately might see TN and think, hey, TN, that's a poor quality experience, but that might just mean you're not kind of experienced with modern TN based panels. I don't know if DePotes is still here. I know he saw the display right there, and I think that he might have not been able to even see the difference between IPS and TN, and in that respect, a lot of people that were there, Paul's Hardware Canucks, you know, we had a lot of media that came in, and they initially just thought it was a standard IPS based display, you know, looking even at the off axis, the color rendering, because you can actually have 100% sRGB coverage. You can actually good viewing angles, but the really advantage that you have with TN is still its ultra fast pixel response, and so it's critical as you start to get to really high, of course, refresh rates, that you need to keep that pixel response as low as possible. So that is a reason why you see this esports optimized TN based panel, but like I said, it will still be factory calibrated. It'll have the native G-Sync module, which allows for outstanding variable refresh rate performance, right? We also have a new stand that will be implemented on this model, which actually allows it to kind of clamp in. So really nice and tight and compact if you want to angle your keyboard and your mouse, or you can swing it out for a more enhanced stability or a little bit more space, depending if you want to have things there in the front. It has, of course, the NVIDIA Reflex support, which is going to be compatible with our mice, and ESS Saber DAC that'll also be built in there as well. So that is going to be the 540 hertz based display. Also really thin bezel design, really clean. This model, again, because it's going to be G-Sync based, won't have the display widget software, so do keep that in mind, is that there is a difference in that regard. Okay, and there's a little bit of kind of difference there in terms of the stand, right, where you can see it's kind of compressed in. The rear looks pretty similar to kind of the current ROG based monitors, but you can see still some updated there, a lot of room in terms of the cable routing and the pass-through support right there. And this model, just like the OLED, I didn't talk about it, but they both continue a hallmark that we had on a lot of the ROG-based monitors, which is going to be the tripod mount. So that's a great option if you actually want to put like a secondary monitor, or if you want to put, let's say, like a camera or a light or a microphone, different types of items. You can just thread that in there and you're good to go. So both of the monitors, the OLED and this one, both feature that tripod-based mount. Here we have not finalized the pricing on this display, and probably for an availability time frame, you're going to probably be looking closer to maybe about the end of Q1 in terms of the earliest for that overall availability. And again, no price point. Do keep in mind that the prior ROG Swift 360 hertz, when it released, was about like $599. This will kind of be replacing that monitor in terms of kind of the flagship traditional LCD for ultra high fast refresh rate. So that's just kind of giving you some prior comparison in terms of the price point for the display. Okay. Somebody's saying, will TN never die? I think that's like trying to say like IPS, right? Original IPS displays were really slow, right? They were not a good gaming option. So it doesn't make sense to eliminate a technology if you can continue to improve upon it, right? IPS has gone through massive refinements and improvements. Similarly, VA has continued to go through refinement and improvements. OLED, even although it's a great technology, a lot of people don't realize that it's gone through different types of technology implementations. Like you have OLED, which has a white subpixel, which is traditional, and then we have other OLED which doesn't have a white subpixel, which is better for color rendering performance. Technologies should be continue to be evolved and refined and based on what they can offer to the consumer, because it's very rare that one technology is going to be the best, right? And the reality is, if you can offer something that is color accurate, performant, and offers faster response, why not take advantage of that panel technology, right? So inherently, there's no real reason why you would have to go to IPS versus, let's say, going to TN. If TN can give us the same overall core experience that we're targeting for the majority of users, right, but give us the faster pixel response, it's good to be able to have that option. So for the foreseeable future, I don't see any one of the current panel technologies kind of just disappearing, because they still all have their kind of inherent strengths, right? Whether you're talking about, again, VA, whether you're talking about IPS, whether you're talking about TN, you're talking about OLED, and then you also have more variables to implement when you're talking about backlighting technology, whether you're talking about mini LED or even upcoming micro LED technology, right? So somebody asking, is G-Sync compatible? Yes, I can confirm for you. I know initially the original launch announcement did not say G-Sync compatible, but the OLED will be G-Sync compatible. But it does not have the native G-Sync module. So keep in mind, compared to the 540 Hertz, which actually has a native G-Sync module, it is a G-Sync compatible as opposed to a native G-Sync based implementation. Okay. Hunter's asking, will you be able to use the, I'm assuming you're asking probably about the ROG desk mount kit. That is going to be TBD. We'll give a little bit more information in terms of whether or not you'll be able to use that. So some people, if you're wondering what Hunter's asking us here, is that we have a really cool accessory that works for about 30 of our monitors. Actually, maybe more than that, like 35 or more monitors. It's a cool C-clamp. You can just kind of mount it to the bottom of your desk, and you can remove essentially the base from the ROG monitor. You just drop it in there. It still gives you ergonomic adjustment, but really nice clean clamp design that we have available. So we'll provide an update in terms of interoperability compatibility with the desk mount kit as we release those monitors. Okay. Okay. Let me just quickly see. There's no black frame insertion. No. Okay. Let me just see here. Somebody's asking, what's the frequency of our eyesight? Actually, like I said, we have no issues even seeing actually upwards of 1,000 hertz in terms of that. Again, when we've actually run live demos, and I think the Poets is talking about that, when he was there and he saw the kind of side-by-side between 144 and the 540, you could actually just clearly see the difference. And we've run actually gaming conventions where we've done 144, 165, 240, 240 to 360. Almost everybody can always see the difference, and depending on the content, actually some content is even much more clear than other content. It just depends on kind of what you're looking at. But the kind of concern of like saying that you can't see it, that's 100% inaccurate. I think the bigger challenge is actually the performance, right? Is that as you start getting to higher and higher frame rates, you of course need corresponding GPUs, but the latest generation of these 40 series graphics cards are perfect to be able to drive these ultra high refresh rates to be able to give us a performance within these esport titles, right? So you do have at least enough GPU horsepower to be able to align with these faster and faster refresh rates. Okay. All right, so I think that covers us there. Let's go ahead and go to the next monitor. If somebody has other questions there on the ROG Swift PG248QP Pro, then feel free and let me know. But we're going to go into the next model right here. So this is going to be for the ROG Strix. This is going to be the XG49WCR. So let me go ahead and bring up my images for this guy. This is going to be an ultra wide here. So let me go ahead and bring it up here. Sorry, I think I gotta get my other images right here. I have it. Let me see here, and I will also do the ROG Swift PG32UQXR after I do this one. So let me just see if I can bring that one up here. Okay, here it is. Okay. Yep. All right. And again, if you guys are wondering, we do have, like I said, posts in the PCDIY group for a lot of these products. So essentially, if you're looking for kind of more information, or you kind of want to get a recap, or maybe there's something that I haven't been able to answer, haven't been able to get to within the stream, if you join the group, you can actually look for the featured announcements for, I think, probably the majority of these, and be able to kind of give you the key points right there, right? So let's go ahead and take a look here at this one. All right, so that's going to be this guy right here. And this is going to be a new ultra wide for us. So if you're somebody that really kind of is looking for that ultra wide experience, this is going to be an option for you. So here, this is going to be a 32:9 aspect ratio, 1800R curvature, 5120 by 1440 resolution. So it's a massive resolution. It's pretty much almost like equivalent to having like two 27-inch monitors, kind of like a side-by-side. 165 hertz refresh rate. It'll have a higher than standard SDR brightness, so it's an HDR 400 certified, which means it's not designed for HDR gaming, but in terms of standard SDR brightness, it definitely will be able to provide you a nice punch and bright dynamic environment. So I think it's a great option for that. Factory calibrated, color coverage is 125% in terms of sRGB, so it's going to be nice and punchy in terms of those colors, and great, like I said, with that factory calibration. So if you want to use it again for maybe editing purposes, or you want to, like I said, gaming desktop usage, is going to be great in that regard. You have DP 1.4, HDMI 2.0, and USB-C. With the USB-C supports up to 65 watts. And interesting, this one will also come included with an Ethernet port. So this is something we've done on some of our business series monitors, but we're bringing this in. So that means you can wire the Ethernet into this, and then with the USB-C, you can route that to your system, and it could actually pass over that signal. This is kind of also optimally suited with that 65 watts to be used with things like maybe like laptops and other types of devices, so that you could have kind of that additional flexibility of having one cable carry over the network connectivity, the display signal, and the power all coming from the display. So that's kind of a cool level of functionality. We also have our new enhanced version of our Spark KVM technology, which essentially allows you to use the keyboard and mouse to switch between the two devices. So as you move from one panel to another, it actually can automatically move from one device to another. So in prior kind of KVM implementations, you have to kind of physically go into the menu and you have to change it. It's a little bit more kind of clunky. Here we've tried to improve the overall experience to make it a bit more refined. You also still will get the display widget center software that we talked about to give you flexibility to essentially tweak and tune and control the OSD in Windows. And this one will support the ROG desk mount kit. So if you don't want to use this kind of traditional mount, you can go ahead and have it set up with the desk mount kit, where this would pretty much just be a C-clamp. And it also supports traditional VESA mounting. So that is going to be the XG49 WCR. I don't have a price point for you on this one. This one should, though, be before the end of Q1 in terms of its overall availability and release. So make sure to keep it tuned in that regard. Okay. Let me go ahead and see quickly there. So DePud says, yeah, nice on the Ethernet feature. I definitely agree. We started to put that on a couple of our, like I said, our business series monitors, but it's a nice just kind of level of flexibility, especially, like I said, if you're bringing over another device where you want to be able to benefit from the wired experience, right? You can do that, but you can just wire it in directly into the monitor, right? Let me see. ASUS says, I'd really like to know if there are any ROG monitors with ultra fast. So ultra IPS is pretty much exclusive. It's pretty much only in 2 monitors, right? So the ROG Swift 360 hertz, and then of course the new 1440p 360 hertz space display are the only ones that utilize that. Those are pretty much cutting edge type of panels that have to be kind of designed and developed specifically for their intended segment. So right now there's no plans for something in the 34-inch category. We know that a lot of people want to see an update to essentially a prior ROG Swift monitor that we had with a 35-inch ultra wide, and I think that could be an opportunity. I think the question is, again, whether or not we decide to do it with a curve or a non-curve, right, and kind of approaching the panels respectively based on that. So it is something that we're evaluating, but as of right now, there's no immediate new product that we have specific to the 34-inch or ultra wide segmentation outside of this. We've recently launched a couple of other models, but nothing in that regard. But definitely we are monitoring feedback in that regard. Okay. Is the screen coating on the 27-inch the same as the one used on the 42 and the 48? It's actually a little bit different. In the two, they would both be, I think, subtle. The 42 and the 48 use this what we call microfine coating. It's, I think, very, very clear. Again, we didn't have any users that commented negatively literally at CES from all the people that attended and looked at it and tried it out. We even had professional streamers and gamers come in and actually check out the display, and they absolutely loved it. I really don't think it's a concern if you're somebody that's having that preference, again, over glossy versus having some type of AR-based coating. But, it's a divisive topic, and again, we're collecting feedback, but overall the feedback that we've also had from people on the 42 and the 48-inch has been actually very positive. So overall, we're not getting people that adopt the ROG Swift with the actual AR anti-reflective coating and essentially are coming back with essentially a lot of negativity regarding it, right? Cloud is asking about any QD displays. QD is something that we're evaluating, but as of right now, we have no immediate monitors that we're announcing with any type of QD OLED based technology. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and go to the next model right here. So that's going to be the PG32UQXR. All right. So this is going to be again like it's kind of like a replacement. We essentially had our prior monitor that was called the ROG Swift PG32UQXE, and the PG32UQXE was going to be essentially kind of like a, let's say, a lower cost option to the PG32UQX. And so that's really kind of the flagship, ultra high HDR mini LED monitor, right? It has a huge number of zones, right? And then on top of that, 1400 nits in terms of brightness. It's an amazing base display, but it was also very expensive. It has had actually a price reduction now at actually $2,500. And there may be even a later additional, maybe a little bit more of a pricing reduction on that display. But we've had people, hey, like, can you have, let's say, like a true HDR full array local dimming, high zone count based monitor, but at a lower price point. And so that's what the UQXE was going to be. And now we've kind of transitioned that model, which didn't get released and is now kind of coming into being this model, which would be the PG32UQXR in terms of its release. So for this one, the cool things about here is that you're actually going to get some of the latest technologies going to be available. So I'll have HDMI 2.1, and you'll also have the latest generation DP 2.1 specification, 4K mini LED, high refresh rate, support up to 160 hertz. Like I said, the full array local dimming, and that HDR 1000 nits. Also getting fully factory calibrated on this monitor as well, and also have an integrated USB hub. This one will also be fully compatible with the ROG desk mount kit. It has a similar kind of updated control dial that you had available to you that was on the high-end UQX based monitor. So it's centrally mounted there, but again, this one will also be able to support the ROG display widget software, right? So you can go ahead and control everything within the UI based environment. We have not finalized the pricing on this model, but this should be kind of similar within the kind of projected price point of what we were talking about for the UQXE. So you should be looking at around kind of that $1,000 price point. This will still be a premium based display, but I think a great alternative for somebody that really wants to jump into 4K, have a rich HDR gaming experience, performant fast panel, right? High refresh rate, right? Factory calibration, right? I think it's a nice option there, also with that updated I/O configuration with DP 2.1 and the HDMI 2.1 specification. And for this one, similarly, also availability should probably be in or around late kind of Q1, maybe early Q2 timeframe. Again, when we have more information, it'll be updated either in the weekly announcements or again within the PCDIY group. Okay. Let me go ahead and see right there. So Stardust on that, I don't have any specific information to provide to you yet on that. For the UQXE, there was actually a new panel that was actually designed and developed. It was specifically actually a different panel that was utilized from with the UQX. We'll have more details in some of those specifics as we get closer to the release information. There's still some additional data points that we haven't released specifically for the UQXR because, like I said, it's still in that final stages of kind of design and development. So a little bit more information to come in that regard. Simon goes, does the 27-inch have built-in speakers? No, there's no built-in speakers on that model. We generally only offer built-in speakers on usually kind of the larger format monitors, although there are a lot of monitors that we have in the 27 and 32-inch, sometimes in the TUF Gaming lineup that sometimes you do get that. And some of the ROG Swift monitors in the 32-inch do actually even have a little bit higher than standard. They have 5-watt speakers as opposed to 2-watt speakers. So I know that sometimes people actually like that because it's just easy to be able to just, watch a basic YouTube stream or basic things like that, as opposed to having to, always wear headphones or something like that. Let me see here. Will we get any new motherboards for Zen 4 3D? No, all of our, of course, AM5 motherboards are already fully compatible with the upcoming CPUs from AMD. So there's no need to kind of launch new motherboards in. We really actually have an amazing series of motherboards. If you're looking for more information, we have a full in-depth live stream where I literally covered all of the series: the Prime, the TUF Gaming, the ProHeart, the ROG Strix, and the ROG Crosshair series. So they're all fully covered. No information in terms of USB-C or power or anything like that, just that you have a USB-C hub that will be present. Some more information will be coming later on in terms of that regard. That will also include G-Sync compatibility information, okay? Okay, all right, let's go ahead and keep moving that along. So that is going to be, yeah, the PG32UQ-XR. And here I do have actually two TUF Gaming displays that I do want to touch on that are also kind of new, that we just kind of popped in there, that kind of came around not only from CES but at the very end of December. So see if I actually have these guys right here. These are going to be a great option for people that I think are also on a little bit more of a kind of limited budget. So let me go ahead and bring this up. Yeah, this should be the TUF Gaming. Okay, so we'll do the 27, I think, inch first. Okay. All right. So here's the ID design on this one. And do I have the model number in this one? If not, let me see if I can go ahead and just quickly pop this one in there. This one is going to be for those that essentially are kind of looking for a good sweet spot to upgrade in terms of a 40 great options already for people to want to be able to jump up in terms of 1440p monitors at quite a number of price points. I think, you know, now some of them drop down to like about $300, but we have the opportunity here to refresh this. So here, the big benefit is you're getting 27 inches with this model with the VG27 AQM L1A. So this will be a fast IPS based display. You're now jumping up to 240 hertz, right? So traditionally 240 hertz was a little bit less in that kind of category of offering this in that more entry band. So generally you were looking still at a lower refresh rate. So like, you know, like 165, 170 or something along those lines. And then the ROG Swift, so the higher end items we had with the 240 or the 360. We will not be discontinuing the ROG Swift 240 hertz, which I think is an amazing value. It's a really, really awesome monitor, and it's been price dropped compared to the new ROG Swift 1440p 360 hertz, which is, like I said, at 1050. Then that drops down to about 750, and then you start getting into these other monitors as well, right? But here, 27-inch, fast IPS, 240 hertz. This one, as of right now, it's only FreeSync premium certification support, but it will have our backlight strobing technology. So that is ELMB sync, which means you can have the backlight strobing in conjunction with adaptive sync. It will be a peak 1 millisecond gray to gray response time. Of course, on average, that will still be higher than, of course, 1 millisecond. Very good color coverage in terms of essentially about 99% coverage in terms of the sRGB gamut. Higher than standard brightness. Again, this is going to be 400 nits, so really well suited towards having a bold and bright SDR based environment. This one will also come with a tripod mount on the top of the monitor that you'll have available to you, and also have a USB hub. So overall, this I think is a pretty nice option right here. And ergonomic, you'll have height and tilt adjustment that'll be available to you on this model right here. Okay, and then on the larger side, let me go ahead and put in the larger monitor. Larger monitor is going to look pretty similar to it, but I'm still just going to go ahead and bring up the specific images for that one. It will look a little bit different though in terms of the base. So let me go ahead and just bring that one up right here. And again, you know, some of these, sometimes not everybody's, you know, they have varying, you know, budgets. So I think that's the reason why it's important to cover the breadth and depth of what we have. Here you're going to have a 31.5 inch. This is going to be a VA based monitor. So VA, you know, generally tends to offer a little bit better contrast than what you would get with an IPS based display. So that's nice if you're a little bit maybe more prone to kind of maybe a blooming or a certain type of haloing. While you can of course still get it, you know, it tends to be a little bit better in that you have a little bit better overall, like I said, contrast. 160 hertz. This is going to be a 4K. So 4K, 31.5 inches. 160 hertz. Again, FreeSync premium support with ELMB sync. So backlight strobing with adaptive sync support. This is going to be probably 5 milliseconds, something like that. It's a 1 millisecond MPRT, which means that the overall average tends to be at or around that, maybe a little bit more. But it's still very, very okay. It's very solid for, you know, for, like I said, for general 4K gaming. 120% covered in terms of sRGB, and this one's also rated for 400 nits, so nice and higher value compared for SDR brightness. Nice punchy base display there. This one will have HDMI 2.1 and also have the USB hub, and also have the height and tilt adjustment on there. Okay. And for both of these should actually be, I think, probably within the next like 30 days or so. So make sure to keep it tuned for these guys if you're interested in either one of those. Okay. Somebody's asking about the SQ7. SQ7 is actually already launched in other regions. As far as whether or not it'll be brought into North America, some people might be wondering what's the SQ7. The SQ7 is our PCI Gen 4 NVMe M.2 based SSD. So yeah, if there's more information, definitely rest assured we'll have an update for it in the not too distant future. It'll be posted in the group. It'll be posted in our social channels. Right now, no information regarding that. I can tell you though, we do have something really exciting though for PCI Gen 5. I've seen it. It looks amazing. We're going to absolutely, I think, bring it for those who are looking for ultra fast performance PCIe NVMe SSDs. Make sure to keep it tuned for ROG and then you know, for Gen 5. As far as, like I said, the SQ7, make sure to keep it tuned. I'll try to see if I can talk to our team if we have any plans, like I said, of bringing that model in for North America. All right. May I ask the name for the naming convention? So yeah, the naming rules, actually, I think we've made them sometimes easier than some other companies, right? So like ROG Swift helps to define, right, the segmentation. So this, you know, anytime it's a Swift, generally it tries to mean that it's class leading in terms of its spec. So not anything can just be an ROG Swift based monitor. That's the reason why we have like ROG Strix monitors. And then we have ROG Swift. Some differences that sometimes people wonder about: ROG Strix and ROG Swift will generally always be factory calibrated. TUF Gaming can be very good and can be factory calibrated to have good color performance, right? And they can have still good color gamut coverage, but there's a difference. Like ROG Strix and Swift will actually come factory calibrated. There's also then letters that specifically mean different things. So you can have like letters that denote actually whether it's like OLED or whether it specifically might have G-Sync support, or it might have 4K resolution, or ultra high refresh rate. That's actually a good post. Maybe I'll do a post in actually the PCDIY group that actually breaks down our what's called our naming rule. So the naming rule convention kind of helps to break down what each thing relates to. But at the end of the day, people are not going to remember a naming rule. So I think the easiest way always is still to just look at the information that's listed on the product page or the listing from the manufacturer looking at. The reality is that with so much specification with the monitors, everything from the panel technology to the refresh rate to, you know, ergonomic adjustment to the resolution, there's so many different things. There's no way to fit that into a model name. It'd be impossible, right, to make it really clear, right? There's just no way to do it. And even within subvariants, like, you know, between, is it a traditional IPS? Is it a true black IPS? Is it an ultra fast IPS? Is it a fast IPS? That in itself makes it super complicated. So you can't put that in a name. So you have to have kind of these complex naming rules. It's just the reality. The Poets ask a question is, do you think there's an ideal user for PCI Gen 5? Actually, I don't think there's even an ideal user for most PCI Gen 4 drives. The reality is that most users focus way too much on the bandwidth. And the reality is that most normal users, if you actually measured responsive application loading performance between an entry-level PCI Gen 4 M.2 SSD to a high-end PCI Gen 4 M.2 SSD, the overall experience is actually going to be almost the same, especially for gaming. Now, if there's somebody that actually does a lot more desktop productivity, like me, I love to take pictures of my dogs, do a lot of batch conversions, simultaneously going from one application to another application, doing exports, you could actually see much more of a benefit from a higher performing drive, not only that has a better performing controller, faster performing memory, more channels, things along those lines. But from general gaming, no. But you know, it comes down to, I think, really kind of what you're doing on the overall system. I think the users that benefit most, 100% from storage performance right now, are actually not gamers. This may change a little bit as we get direct storage technology coming in, which will be using PCI Gen 4 as a baseline. So that's quite exciting. But I think the people that benefit most are actually content creators. So people doing photography, videography, animation work, people that are working with large files, moving them back and forth, bringing them in and out, decompressing, compressing, things along those lines are really the people that benefit most from the speed of storage. Especially because on the GPU side, even a lot of people who focus on bandwidth speeds, like between like by 16 by 8, the reality is those actually don't really have that much impact either. There's little value at PCI Gen 5 even for graphics, because the actual amount of data that's being streamed to the graphics card is not a lot consistently. There's a lot of really good compression that occurs, and once it actually goes to the GPU and it's actually decompressed, the cache and the RAM that's on the graphics card is really working really hard to be able to optimize the overall rendering that's occurring. So even there, bandwidth is not that critical, right? And there's a lot of ways to more intelligently distribute the actual routing paths as well, which are some things that we're seeing that's happening right now also in graphics. Okay, so let me go ahead and just see right here. Any other quick questions that might have come up right there? Thank you so much, Matt. As somebody that appreciates aesthetic design and refinement, man, really, really awesome to know that you really are digging the overall look and feel in that regard. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So I think that's the TUF Gaming displays right there. I'm going to run through really quickly on just a couple of other light monitor updates that we have right there. So give me 1 second here. I do just want to quickly touch on these. So go ahead and get a couple of these in here. So I do want to quickly touch on our Zen Stream series right here. So this, I think, is a really nice option for those of you that might be maybe looking kind of for like a portable based display. So we're actually the #1 portable monitor manufacturer in North America. We have a really great lineup. Like I said, literally everything from like 34 inches to now with the latest MB series, we'll have 24 inches. Everything from IPS to fully true wireless with battery to no battery to touch. To Pro Art based models, OLED, non-OLED, right? I mean, really, I think just about everything in between, a really expansive lineup. The really cool thing that I like about, though, these new MB series that we have with the MB16 is going to be that these models are going to now finally be phasing in a new ID design that we incorporated, which is pretty cool. So the cool thing that we actually did right here is that in the past, essentially, we had essentially connectors, right, that were going to be on the left and the right hand side. But that always kind of presented a little bit of a challenge that when you wanted to maybe sometimes line something up with, let's say, like a laptop or a different type of kind of display scenario, you would have to account for that cable. So what we actually did right here is you'll notice right here that there's a base, and the base actually then itself allows for more ergonomic adjustment. You can actually entirely fold it down, you can adjust the tilt axis, you can actually go in portrait or in landscape orientation, and the cables now actually get connected on that side. So it gives it, one, a really nice stable base, and then two, allows you to go kind of side by side really nice. Now you see the image right here being used with the laptop. You can entirely use these with a desktop based system, especially if you want to have like a little bit of a sidebar monitor, right? And you want to maybe have Discord, Twitter, you want to have email, you want to have a web page. It's really, really cool for that in terms of that functionality. Here you can see just some angles of adjustment where you can play around with it, where you can kind of have a little bit of like an intent. You can have a little bit of a tilt. Again, you can also go ahead and adjust it into a different orientation where, again, landscape and portrait are both supported on this display. Another really cool accessory you'll see right here that we started doing a lot of our portable displays is they actually have a tripod mount. So you can also mount this. I've shown this in some of my live streams in the past. You can actually get like a tripod threaded on there, and then you can actually angle it. Although we now have a cool accessory that we'll be coming out with, which will be a special stand that will connect to this, which will actually allow you to have a formalized stand for your portable display. Here, these display connections also to support the display port signal and the power via one cable. You also can see right here that they have an integrated headphone jack as well, which is nice, especially if maybe your laptop or your device doesn't have a headphone jack and you still want to use an analog pair of headphones. Okay. You can see just a little bit kind of how nice and clean that design overall works with that. And one of the cool things here is 100% DCI-P coverage right there. And this also is 120 hertz, which normally is not seen within traditional laptops, or in traditional mobile displays, but we've started to do that a lot with our laptops. We have 90 hertz, 120 hertz on even our mainstream series laptops. Not talking about our gaming laptops, because gaming laptops, of course, you can go much, much, much higher. We have, 240 hertz, 300 hertz based refresh rates, right? So this is a great addition. And here we'll have, like I said, the 16 and the MB17 based display. So really, really nice updates in this regard for the MB16 and for the MB17. And then for kind of even going a little bit bigger, we are going to have the MB. So the MB here, we look at this as not necessarily like a portable display, because it's not really designed to kind of go portably with you in the same way that the smaller MBs might be, but we call it a movable display. If you want to maybe move it from one space to another quite easily compared to, let's say, a larger and heavier monitor. This is only about 6 pounds, so it's actually pretty light, and it actually has an integrated handle. So imagine you could kind of take this from your office, you could maybe move it over to an island, you can go from place to place, especially with more of us doing meetings and different things like in your home. It gives you a nice degree of flexibility and functionality to just be able to set this up in a really cool way. And you'll see that we have some nice kind of cool ergonomic adjustment options that are going to be built in with this, including a C-clamp based design that's really nice and accessible. You can, of course, also put this on a VESA mount if you wanted to, right? And you'll also see that in terms of the connectivity, again, you've got your HDMI connection right there, nice on the side. You've got, of course, your USB-C, which can support power as well as display, and also the headphone jack, and then your traditional barrel jack there for your power. You'll also see the buttons, nice just side mountain buttons there for quick and easy access there, because again, the way that we were kind of designing this monitor is a little bit of a different use. So again, really nice level of flexibility and functionality to be able to kind of move this if you wanted to be able to make quick adjustments with it. And here you can see just the range of different ways that it could kind of be set up and configured, right, with the C-clamp based design. The integrated actually again, kind of kickstand design where it's not only serves as a handle, but then you can angle it down so that you could go ahead and immediately prop it up, so you don't have to use it with any other stand, and it doesn't have to have like a big old base, right? You don't have to have this base and you have to have this adjustment. You can literally just lift it up, set it back down, angle it out, and you'd be good to go, and you have a big 24-inch base display. So that will be, sorry, not the MB, that's going to be the MB249, all right? And again, if you're interested, we got tons of other MB monitors. Check them out. Like I said, we have literally, if you're probably looking for a specific type, we probably have a portable display that you're looking for. Again, from ones that have actually a full battery built in, we have OLED solutions, we have the upcoming high refresh rate options, truly wireless based options, tons of different types of options available to you, okay? Just see if we have any quick questions that we have there. Will there be a Ryujin 3? Hey, interesting name, Charles Station. Right now, in terms of Ryujin 3, we have a Ryujin 3 under design and development, but nothing for the foreseeable future. Right now, our focus is on the Ryu 3, which will be coming out, probably about the end of next month in terms of its overall availability and time frame. That'll be the first 8th gen ASUS based solution. Ryujin 3, I have seen already what we're developing, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. Continue really the performance and the design that the Ryujin is really known for in terms of some really cool attention to detail and really, really nice stylized elements to it, but still a long time away. So Ryujin 2 will be for the foreseeable future our focus if you want that large, really big screen, 3.5 inches, ARGBR Noctua based edition, right? And of course supports horizontal or vertical based orientation. All right. Just see right there. Ed Martin's asking, will ROG come out with speakers? It is actually something that we're internally discussing with our team. I actually did a post about this a little while ago regarding kind of like soundbar speakers. Right now, nothing to discuss, but our design and development team are essentially looking into this, okay? DePoet says, a very good monitor for filming. Yeah, I think actually it's a really nice option, but a lot of other displays, I think our portable displays are really good from that. I really love our PA portable display for creators because you have the HDMI input and you could just use that outputting direct from like your mirrorless camera. And it also has an integrated scroll wheel, which actually allows you to have more adjustments, right? If you want to have input options. And also you can map into things like Adobe Creative Cloud Suite. There's a lot of really cool kind of stuff. It has 10-point touch. You can then dock it to your system and actually have a timeline curve on there. All kinds of other cool stuff there. All right. So let's go ahead and keep moving it along there. Let me see, so there. See on the monitor side, make sure I got, was that all the monitors? So let me just quickly double check here. All right, so we did the MB16, MB17, MB24. We did the 3 RG Swift we did the ROG STRIX XG49, we did the ROG OLED PG27, the PG32U XR, we did the PG2248QP, we did the two TUF Gaming displays, and last but not least, we have just some quick ProArt based updates that I want to do. So I'd also love to get, if anybody's a serious professional or creative in here, you know, let's see what your thoughts are here, because we do have some other kind of cool little displays that we're doing here. So we do have our new kind of flagship ProArt series OLED display. So we currently already have an OLED based display, it's actually a 4K 32-inch. So this will be another option that we're going to have, 31.5-inch. Now, the interesting thing that you have here with this panel is going to be a higher than standard peak brightness. So it's going to be 700 nits. But compared to the standard kind of, let's say, LG LG-based OLEDs, which are going to be what's called a WOLED based panel. This is going to be a non-WOLED panel, so it's essentially just RGB. The benefit here of working with a company like you might have with like Japan OLED, right, is that a white subpixel actually can influence color rendering, and so you can actually even have superior color rendering performance and even higher factory calibration performance when you emit that. There are benefits of why that's done in terms of trying to give you higher peak brightness, but in terms of, let's say, the professional segmentation where they don't necessarily need that same level of brightness, depending on their mastering scenario, right, they may be even more kind of prone to want to really kind of take advantage of color accuracy, color fidelity, right? Keep in mind with the professional displays, you also have something that's called an internal lookup table, internal LUT, which will be generally much higher than the panel itself. So, you know, on some standard panels, you have what's called a 10-bit panel, but then you have an internal lookup table that might be like 14-bit, a 3D lookup table. That allows a lot of that information to be brought into the panel and then have much smoother gradation that's rendered onto the screen. So this is something you see on more of our professional series displays, is very high bit internal lookup tables to be able to get a lot of that color data and information and render it with really nice smooth clarity and gradation. And then you pair that with something like, say, like a 10-bit panel, and you have really nice color rendering performance that's present on the display. So this is a really interesting base panel, again, because like I said, it's not WOLED, it's just standard OLED based panel, the 4K resolution, the high brightness, and it'll have a really nice kind of design where this is all metal, kind of nice compact based display, have Thunderbolt 4 connectivity, has HDMI and DP on there, and USB hub. We're still finalizing some of the final I/O and the placement, but one of the other cool things is this display right here, where you can see it's got this really nice clean kind of design aesthetic. It's just really designed to kind of move up really nice and cleanly in terms of height adjustment, tilt adjustment on there as well. And right now we're thinking that you might essentially have the USB ports that might be like right here, but you know, on a lot of our ProArt displays, we actually have ports down here at the bottom and then ports at the side. And our current PA OLED 32-inch that we have available, that one actually has ports on the sides, and it has handles because it's also designed for the studio. That one's pretty expensive. It's $3,500, so you're going to be looking at a similar kind of high-end cost for something in this range. But again, really suited for those that either want an amazing display for desktop, just productivity and richness in terms of, like I said, color rendering performance. So you're somebody that just you're not a gamer, but you want really a kind of flagship level display in terms of color, sharpness. That text rendering performance also would be really good on actually this type of display too, even though it's an OLED, along with, like I said, that rich connectivity. This could really be a great choice for you when we release it. You'll also see some interesting kind of options in how it can be mounted with like an overhang mount. It actually has these two little kind of endpoints too that could actually be used to kind of hang as a framed type design. So we're playing around with some different things. You know, consider checking it out. Love to see what your guys' thoughts or feedback might be in terms of kind of the design, the mounting options, different features that you might want to see maybe within this. So this one's still a little bit while out in terms of coming out, so not anytime soon, but we do currently already offer a 32-inch 4K if you are interested in that, like I said, under our ProArt line. Okay. All right. And then we did also update the PACV series. So the CAV series has been some of my absolute favorite models that we've offered in terms of our ProArt based monitors. These are definitely coming at a much more reasonable price point for somebody that wants to get into having a color accurate monitor. So you do photography, videography, animation, architecture, anything where you care about really, really good color accuracy. Rich color calibration controls, so things like 6-color axis calibration, Kalman validation support, things along those lines. So we had the CV series where we had already a 1900 by 1200, a 1440p, and a 4K. So we've pretty much refreshed all three of those options. We have the 24-inch, the 27-inch, and the 32-inch base models. And take, for instance, models like this. This is going to be sub $500 for the 4K 27-inch, right, with really nice, clean, compact, thin bezels, nice, clean, compact design, wide range of ergonomic adjustment, outstanding color accuracy, factory calibrated, 6-color axis control, USB-C that's built in here, now supports up to 96 watts in terms of power. So great for being able to connect to, our laptops, or if you're a MacBook user, things along those lines. And you even got 4 USB ports, so 2 under here and then 2 on the side, along with, of course, all your other rich connectivity, VESA mount support that's available to you there. You can see DP, HDMI, the USB, right? Like I said, up to 96 watts, headphone, 2 USB ports. And then there's actually 2 USB ports that are underneath there. Nice integrated cable routing, nice range of ergonomic adjustment that's available on this monitor as well. Really, really great options, again, for those that, again, are just looking for a great, color focused professional series display. Really, really nice option here. So you can see right here, and again, this is going to offer this, like I said, in a couple of different formats. So the 24-inch 1920 by 1200 resolution, which is really cool if you want that bigger kind of horizontal resolution. Then we'll have the 1440p variant, and then we also have the 4K version. So you can pretty much get it in whatever works best for you. All right. And this one also does support, I will double check, but I think I have to double check, but I think this one also does support linking for displays. So not all displays support actually linking from the display. So if anybody's interested in that, make sure to tag me and let me know, and I will look into that. DNH says, need gaming monitors to be that elegant in the design too. Thank you so much for that feedback. Yeah, I think we're continuing to always try to refine that and offer kind of a design aesthetic that's distinct between the different lines. Will the PG3 TQXR have built-in speakers? I don't know if it has speakers, but seeing as that the similar housing design that we have on the current PG329Q model has speakers, I'm going to tentatively say yes, but I can't actually confirm. So make sure to just, like I said, tag me, and I'll see if I can confirm that information in there. Any chance of making a non-tinted glass? No, I don't think so. We prefer have always a nice little bit of like soft diffusion to all of our LED design implementations. And I think having that little bit of that tint on there is nice, just to give it that little bit of that subtle diffusion. You can clearly still see the lighting on there, and it's quite nice, but it helps to kind of just mitigate that just a little bit. So I think it adds to the overall aesthetic. But, again, if we get enough feedback, because the panel can be removed, who knows? Maybe we could offer as an accessory in the future essentially an alternate door, or maybe an alternate version, but as of right now, there's no plans. Somebody asking about a Hyperion or a mid-tower option. We are looking at an ROG chassis in the mid-tower, and I can't tell you right now, but we are already working, and it's almost complete, and probably for maybe early Q2 timeframe, we will actually have a very, very impressive option at around like the $100 price band, again in the TUF Gaming lineup with the TUF Gaming GT302. I think this model is going to be absolutely awesome for those of you that are really looking for a really nice, high-performant mid-tower based option. And we're also evaluating how to maybe make like a ROG version of that, and also maybe even like an ROG version of the GT502. So there is kind of some discussions going on there, but as of right now, the focus is really for, I think, the new Hyperion, then the GT302, and then we're also working on our ProArt chassis too, which will be coming later on. And we also may be evaluating bringing in the Mini ITX version for the AP series chassis, where we have the AP201, which is micro ATX, and can support Mini ITX, but we actually may even have the more compact version. So for those people that really have to be like, it has to be, sub, 20 liters or whatever, then, you might be kind of interested in that, right? Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and keep moving that along there. Okay. All right. So let's go into our next item here. One moment, guys. Okay, let me just go ahead and bring that up. Okay. This is going to be another kind of like a little cool product right here that we have. So let me go ahead and bring this up here. All right, so this is a cool little accessory for those of you also may or may not be aware. ASUS does have actually a pretty cool line of projectors, and so we actually have many projectors in our portable lineup. So they're really kind of designed to be compact and allow you to kind of go and take them on the road with you, right? So you can put them in your bag or your backpack. And we have models that are really compact and great to be able to kind of connect to, let's say, a laptop, or be able to connect it to something like your phone, or even like a Nintendo Switch if you got kids and you want to be able to share it out. And so we have our ZenBeam series, and these fall under essentially within that. So the newest edition that we're going to be having here is going to be with our ZenBeam projector L2. So we had the prior Latte. The Latte was a really nice kind of little compact model. This one's going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit higher performance. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one right here. Okay, so this would be the ZenBeam L2. All right, it's got a cool little kind of carry handle right here. You can see it's got a little integrated kickstand to be able to angle it right in terms of that. It has this kind of cool little ambient feature, so there are actually built-in profiles right there. So if you want to have like a little bit of an ambience mode, set this up in a room environment. There's different types of presets. There's a dog one, there's a cat one, there's like a white noise, there's like a little waterfall, there's rain, there's different ones in there. So if maybe you want to have it like as a background to maybe like friends and family are there, or maybe again like maybe somebody, like I said, like having like white noise when you're sleeping, this could be actually like an option for you, and add just a little bit of subtle brightness to your environment and space. And also because there's of course the speaker with that display in there, it's kind of a cool little feature. And there's an auto kind of a timeout feature as well that you can go ahead and incorporate, right? Now the sound, right, it's also helped to be actually tuned in terms about tuned by Harman Kardon. It's nice in terms of actually giving you a nice little punch, so you can definitely watch content on here, whether you're talking about video on demand services, or again if you were attaching this and watching video content or streamed content, whether again YouTube or video on demand, or from local files you might have playback. HDMI and USB connectivity on there, so you can also go ahead and connect this to any type of streaming box if you had like a dedicated streaming box of some type. In terms of kind of the brightness, its maximum is 600 lumens, which actually is quite bright, especially that. Keep in mind that a lot of the standard portable projectors are usually maybe about 150 to about 250 nits, and a lot of people actually entirely can use those within that respect. So going up to 600 nits gives you quite a little bit more punch, again a little bit more contrast as well, right? And also helps you to cover a little bit kind of larger spaces, right? In terms of that, it has full HD resolution, so a lot more of the compact projectors generally going to be 720p, or they might even be like a kind of like intermediate kind of resolution, so it's like 480 something like that, 480p plus or something along those lines, which actually can still look pretty sharp, especially when you're feeding in an HD based source, even though it's not actually rendering HD based resolution. But this is pretty nice in terms that it actually is a full 1080p based resolution that it's actually displaying, and it does support HDR based content, what's called tone mapping, so that can be put out in there. There is of course integrated and easy adjustment option there for also like keystone correction, so to make sure kind of everything lined up, so you don't have to kind of worry about those aspects as where if you're kind of putting it on a stand, or you're putting it on something, or pulling it kind of back, and you just want to make sure it's lined up correctly, the projector will kind of take care of that for you. You're going to be good to go. So I think not too much information beyond that for this model will be coming out in the not too distant future. Let me see if I have pricing information on this one. I don't remember if I do. No pricing information on this one yet, but I can tell you that actually will come in, bundled with actually the Android TV box. So that's great, because Android TV already will allow you to access essentially the application, so that if you don't essentially want to have like something that you want to plug in terms of a streaming box, you can essentially have that functionality directly built onto the unit, right? And then you can just download the corresponding applications to be able to go ahead and play back, right? Yeah, no pricing on that. And I know, and say some people ask, you can have both the USB-A port and then the USB-C port like active. So if you're like outputting from like a laptop or like a phone, you can pass the signal right to that and then still be kind of charging another device with the USB type A port. The headphone jack is also functional in terms of allowing you to still plug headphones in there if you're still also streaming to the projector as well. Okay. That's a good one. I'm going to be talking about the graphics cards here in a moment, so don't worry about that one. So that, I think, was the last monitor update that I wanted to go ahead and get through. So we're going to get ready to jump into graphics. Okay. All right. So on the graphics card side, guys, of course, I already announced these, but let me go ahead and confirm on the pricing here and the details for those that are interested in there. So let me go ahead and bring this up here. All right, so that's going to be for our GPUs. So GPUs wise, we actually have a couple of different announcements here for that. So some of you might have been aware, of course, we already did the announcement in the PCDIY group and our social channels for white edition based graphics cards. So these actually have now been what are called MPI'd, and we're pushing them in terms of the channel. So we would probably expect to see overall channel availability by around the end of this month going into the beginning of next month. Could realistically maybe be like second week of February. We'll try to have notifications for people involved in the PCDIY group, as we might get some confirmation from our partners. But once we kind of release them to the distribution channel, there's always a little bit of a logistic timeline that varies, you know, whether it's going to be Newegg or Amazon or Micro Center or the different partners. But we will have essentially 4 versions of the card. So 4080 and the 4090 will have the OC, and we'll have a standard base versions of the card. Fantastic looking cards, and of course these are all going to be the same exact design and features and functions as our current standard ROG STRIX cards, which are monochrome, right? So things like the milled vapor chamber design, the ultra high performant static pressure ring barrier optimized fans, the dual V BIOS, the PCI power monitoring circuit, all the great stuff, the auto extreme technology, right, in terms of the PCB and the VRM and the power topology, the fully molded alloy inductors, all that great stuff is going to be the same. It's just this is the white edition version of the cards. So again, in terms of availability, you're going to be looking, like I said, probably say first week of February, maybe going into the second week of February. In terms of the pricing, what you're going to be looking at is for the 4080, and 4080 is $1,550 for the standard, and then $1,600 for the OC, and then $2,050 for the 4090 standard, and then $2,100 for the OC version. Okay, and then I'm also going to give a little bit of a highlight to 2 other cards that we're going to have, which are going to be for other white cards that are going to be in the other opposite end of the spectrum. So if you're somebody that maybe is looking for you know, a card that isn't super expensive, then you know you might want to maybe consider something like these guys right here. So we are also these are right now available. They literally just started listing online. Is we have our RTX 3060 and our RTX 3060 Ti. So our RTX 3060 Ti GDDR6X, I think, is a fantastic option. It's already sold out at $399. It's a fantastic option for a card that you're looking for that can definitely handle, you know, modern 1440p gaming, you know, at high refresh rates. Also handle high refresh rate gaming for 1080p, has all the great features of the, you know, 30 series based GPUs, right? So GeForce Experience, RTX support, DLSS support, you know, NVIDIA Studio, NVIDIA Broadcast. A lot of that really cool stuff is all in there, along with the performance of the GPU, and also nice, compact, and cool. That's already available in monochrome. These are now the white versions. There's a little bit of a price premium for the white versions that you have there. Because these are also OC-based versions. But again, we'll have the 3060 and the 3060 Ti, and these are available right now in terms of channel availability. They literally just started popping up. And for the pricing on those, for the dual 3060, that'll be $370 for the OC version, and then $470 for the 3060 Ti OC version. A little bit of a price delta. I think it's like $10 or something like that approximately for the standard version. So if you essentially see the same model but it doesn't have OC in it, that just means that it's the standard version. And we always get questions like, is there a difference between the overclock and non-overclock version? They're exactly the same. The difference with the overclocked version is that it's factory binned and essentially tested and validated at the factory at that overclock frequency, right? Can you still overclock both the cards? Yes. Can you overclock a non-OC model to potentially an OC? Yes, but just like a CPU where you can't guarantee that that model can run at that, there's always going to be variance. You can't ever guarantee overclocking range, right? And so that's the difference, is the OC model just guarantees you a little bit of a higher clock speed, a little bit higher performance, okay? So otherwise, they're exactly the same. All right, so that is going to be that, okay? All right, and I'm going to check the questions right now if we have any questions that kind of came up in there. Give me 1 second. And let me see if we have it here. Also, I know for some people that may be wondering, we do also have a new, actually, YouTube channel, which you guys actually want to check it out. It's the ASUS Graphics YouTube channel, which we're going to be covering essentially all of our NVIDIA-based content that we're going to have available to you. You can go ahead and check that out on our ASUS graphics card channel, where we'll have, you know, overviews, guides, stream information, all kinds of stuff that'll be available on that channel. And we already have a little bit of a first look preview that is available right now on that channel that does highlight the Noctua based graphics card. So if you're interested in actually taking a look at the 4080 version of the Noctua graphics card, you can go ahead and do it on that channel. Now, we haven't finalized that. Let me go ahead and show you guys here a little bit of a nice little preview if you guys want to check it out. I did a little mini quick overview at CES. My voice is definitely a little bit hoarse there, but you guys can check it out. Let's go ahead and take a look at it right here. This will be coming. It's not 100% final. We still may kind of be doing a little bit of tweaking and tuning to things, so make sure to kind of head and keep that in mind. But let's see. I think it should be kind of coming up right here. We'll see. Let's see it. Oh, there it's going to be shown here in a moment. I'll let you guys watch a little bit of Inception. Watching me, watching you while I'm talking to you about a card that yet hasn't come out, but that's going to be it right there. So this is going to be definitely a big card, probably going to be in somewhere around probably 4.3 slot, just like we had for the 30 series. But if you're looking for that ultra cool and quiet class of card, this is definitely going to be one that I think you're going to be super interested in. Of course, this is going to be leveraging the same type of specialized heatsink design, which has to be larger to account for the actual increased diameter of the Noctua based fans, which are essentially traditional desktop based fans that we have there. So those 120 millimeter based fans are the same type of fans you would be able to buy and then install in a system. And the big benefit here is not only their outstanding, of course, build quality and their static pressure, but also that they can essentially allow for that great deal of airflow and that static pressure and keep a really, really low RPM. So nominally, these cards tend to run at 600 to 800 RPM, and our current ROG Strix cards are already ultra cool and ultra quiet, but this card will even be cooler and quieter than what we have within our standard series. So if you're kind of somebody that is really going to be for that coolest and quietest 4080, then the Noctua card is going to be the card that I think you're going to want to be interested in. So overall, we've now expanded the lineup. We've got essentially the TUF Gaming 4080, we have the ROG Strix 4080, we've got the white 4080 under the ROG Strix line, and then we're also going to have the Noctua 4080 base graphics card. Okay, so make sure to keep it tuned in the not too distant future for more information on that guy as well. And quickly see if we got any good questions there. Will the 4080 and 4090 Strix be available? Yes, we will have them available in a limited quantity on the ASUS store, so you will be able to get them from the ASUS store. Do we have any chassis in design and development for 4090s? At this time, no. Right now, we don't have any new chassis that we're specifically designing for ITX. If we did release the AP201 Mini ITX, it wouldn't fit our 4090. I think probably the biggest you could fit would probably be maybe like a 4070 Ti, which is still pretty big. Also depends. I don't know. Maybe I'd have to check the clearance on whether maybe it's be able to support an FE 4090, but on our side, definitely not our non-reference designs. No. Hey man, have a fantastic week, man. Take care and take it easy. Enjoy your Saturday and Sunday. Is it confirmed that the white 4090 being released second week of February? Yeah, so yes, that's what I just noted, right? That our target right now for availability, right now we're pushing it out in terms of channel availability, may potentially maybe even show up before the end of the month. It just depends on the e-tailer logistics and timeline, but I'm going to, generally I try to buffer in about a 10 to 14 day buffer period from when we start to push it out. In terms of channel availability, that tends to be the amount of time that it takes to see kind of listing. So I would say, at earliest, maybe the very end of this month and then kind of the beginning of next month. But as you throw in the weekends and you're still kind of just logistic delays from different partners that can sometimes crop up, I would maybe look at maybe the middle of February timeframe. Okay. Asking about the displays, I covered that, but pretty much all of our displays are all featuring some form of AR-based coating. So that's going to be anti-reflective. We don't refer to them purely as kind of a matte-based display because I think matte isn't necessarily representative of it, because matte could indicate that it might not necessarily be clear. So I would say it's an AR-based display. It's not so anti-reflective, but not a glossy-based display. We don't make any DDR5 based memory, but we do have ROG certified memory, and we also have TUF Gaming Alliance memory. So those are kits that we work in terms of the design and development specification with our memory partners, and you can get those from different partners like Team Group, vColor, AData, XPG, have those different types of options. Yeah, affordable white components, exactly. That 3060 and 3060 Ti are affordable, and then we also have our Prime Series motherboards, and we also have our ROG Strix-A Series motherboard. So I think that those are great options there for those that are looking at for a little bit lower a price point. No, I would never say that you could easily remove the polarizer or anything like that on a monitor easily. No, it's not designed to be done in that way. But if you did, of course, you would be avoiding the warranty. So. Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's go ahead and just keep rounding things out here, guys. So I'm going to try to just bang through the last of these guys pretty quickly. We'll go through here. So we also have, let's see here. So we went through the Noctua. Let's see here. Sorry, going back here to my other items. Do I have a listing for this one? We have the, okay, let me go ahead and just type that one in there. All right, so this is going to be, oh, too many. I have too many there. Okay. All right, we'll do that. Okay. That works. So this is going to be the ROG Azoth. This is going to be our, of course, 75% premium mechanical gaming keyboard. We actually, if you guys were part of the PCDIY group, you got picked up on it. We already had a small limited listing that literally we listed to the group, and it sold out within 2 hours, so it was all gone. We'll have another kind of limited little assortment that will be coming in probably on Monday or Tuesday, and then we'll have a much broader level of inventory and availability in March, but we'll have a little bit of kind of a holdover inventory that we'll have available after, like I said, the initial kind of reskew that'll go into the e-store, like I said, early next week in February across some of the other channel partners. But like I said, that will be a little bit more of a limited quantity. So if you're really interested in seeing it, you're going to want to pick it up then. If not, you'll have to wait towards the bigger kind of overall inventory that we'll have available to you in March. So this will be coming in at $250 in terms of the price point. It's the same price point whether you want the ROG NX Reds, which are the linears, the ROG NX Browns, which are going to be the tactiles, or the ROG NX Blues, which will be your classic clicky-based switches. Now, this is going to be a premium hot swap-based PCB, so you, of course, can go ahead and swap these out to whatever switches you do want. Keep in mind our ROG micro switches, they're already lightly lubed. They have a reset actuation and reset point, which is really, really nice, really tuned. Also, they are not as easy to go ahead and depress as you might have like with traditional cherry switch. Those tend to be a little bit too light, I think, for some people, especially if they rest their palms. So these are also going to be smooth, really nice feel, and also consistency to them. We actually do what's called force deviation testing, which means that across the switches, we guarantee plus or 5 minus gram force deviation across the switches, which allows for a more consistent experience across the entirety of the keyboard. Now you're going to have onboard memory profiles, so you can store that. We have improved stabilizers in there, so they have a nice consistent feel. There's 3 layers of sound dampening material, so we've got Poron, silicon, and foam that are going to be in there. Really, really nice feel. This is tri-mode based, so you got USB-C, you have Bluetooth, and you also have 2.4 gigahertz that are all going to be present within this. The OLED Live Dash display is really slick. You can actually have stat information, or you can customize it, so GIFs, animations, or you can put clock speeds, temperatures. This multifunction wheel right here can do play, pause, skip, or you can customize it for different types of functions available to you, so a lot of functionality. You also get a premium accessory kit that comes included with this, so this will actually come with Crytox 205 if you want additionally lube, a brush, an actual lubing station, a keycap puller, and keycap opener. That all comes inside the box, and the keycap puller and the keycap opener are much better quality than a lot of the stuff that you would see available to you online. It's a really fantastic keyboard. I think actually for the price point, it's actually hard to beat, especially considering all the accessories that come included with the ASUS. And some people that wonder a little bit about the construction also might go like, hey, it's not all metal. And part of the reason why we didn't do all metal, and it's important to understand, is that when you add full metal to the body, you'll actually add in a little bit of kind of RF attenuation issues. And so essentially what that means is you can add actually disruption to the range and to the performance of the 2.4 gigahertz wireless chipset. And what we've really tried to spend a lot of effort to do here is we wanted to have this chipset be really, really high performance. And so the 2.4 gigahertz controller that we have in here is essentially almost the same exact latency as what you have with a wired base connection. So that essentially means that whether you're on USB-C or you're on 2.4, it's effectively the same experience. And even amongst other kind of premium quote-unquote keyboards on the market, that's not going to be the case. The wireless will have more latency. It's really fine for like typing, but if you kind of want to use it under a gaming grade scenario, that's really a key advantage that we have. So that is part of the reason why the bottom housing is plastic, but overall build quality and fit and feel still feels really, really, really good in hand. You'll see there also for the messaging on the stabilizers, this does also optionally support screw-in stabilizers. So if you do want to go ahead and even further customize in that respect, you can go ahead and use screw-in stabilizers if you want. Here's kind of a little just breakdown of all the work that you can see in terms of that's been done on this. So the gasket mounting helps to add just a little bit of flex, not a lot. There's definitely not a lot of flex, but you can play around with this a little bit more. Like if you wanted to maybe take out one of the layers of the dampening foam to maybe affect the sound a little bit, or to maybe add a little bit more bounce, that is something you can go ahead and do. But as I noted right there, you can see we have the silicone gaskets, then the silicone pad, then the pour-on foam, right, and then the silicone foam. So quite a lot of dampening material in there to have essentially no resonance, have a really nice sound and feel to it, along with what we're doing on the RGNX switches. So again, this is already available, sold out. We'll have a little bit more early next week on the ASUS store, then a little bit more inventory as we get into February, and then a bigger, much larger available inventory available in March. Okay, so I think I covered all of the key points that are on there. It is also PBT double shot keycaps. These keycaps are also shortened in terms of the height. That also helps to reduce a little bit of keycap wobble. It's not going to be as good as what you would have with, let's say, the RX switches, which use a 4-point stem, because this is still a center weighted stem, but that allows you to go ahead and also use your own custom keycaps, which you can't do on an RX based keyboard. So, really kind of comes out to you in terms of, how you want to be able to customize it. But if you don't want to customize it, you just want a great sounding, great feeling, high performance keyboard that's tri-mode, 75%, the ASUS might be a really, really great choice for you to check out. Okay. Zach is asking, can I swap the keycaps? Yes, you can change out the keycaps. So if you want to pick up keycaps, from mechanical keyboards, from Bala Supply, from Drop, or, from Amazon or wherever, yes, you can use your different keycaps. As always, just make sure that you're accounting for the sizing, but it's not non-standard sizing. So pretty much most keycaps on the market should be entirely okay to be able to use. Yeah, we're going to talk about the controller in a little bit. No worries. When will the US have pre-order? We don't generally do usually pre-orders, but we do try to provide, like I said, advanced visibility via our text notification system on the ASUS eStore. But that is something that we're accounting for, over time, and maybe in the future we'll have that. No release date yet for the Noctua. Probably, like I said, at earliest, maybe the end of Q1 timeframe is probably going to be for the Noctua series graphics card. Hey, Mr. Matt, take care, man. Get some rest. Fantastic. Thanks for joining us. Like I said, this one was a lot that we had to cover, so a lot of stuff to be able to dive into here. Okay. All right. So that is going to be the ASUS. Okay, very, very cool. So let's go to the next item right here. Go ahead and see. So next, we're going to go ahead and go to the harp. Oh, let me go ahead and make an adjustment right there. And so here, kind of keeping in the theme of kind of like peripherals, we're going to go with our harp. So this is going to be actually our really kind of our flagship gaming mouse right here. And so this is going to be a symmetrical based gaming mouse. So we just recently released, of course, the Gladius 3 aim point and the Curious 3 aim point. We also have the Chakram X, which features our new aim point sensor, which is this one right here. All of those are fantastic mouse, lightweight mouse, premium build quality. You have, support for changing out the switches, that 36,000 DPI sensor, 1% CPI deviation, the ROG paracord cable, grip tape, which comes on the Gladius and the Curious. It's offered in white and it's in black. But this is a really exciting model right here with the harp. So let's go ahead and take a look at this guy. So this is going to be a really exciting mouse. And, if you're kind of going up against, want to see if we have something that really goes head to head and I think beats out the Logitech Superlight X, right? This is going to really kind of go head to head against something like in that class. So here, you've got one kind of that symmetrical body-based design, super lightweight design. So this is going to be 54 grams. We actually have a brand new bio-based polymer, and the bio-based polymer has the properties that allow us to have this really, really nice durability and feel to the unit, but also still really great structural integrity. And you see there's no holes on here, so you don't have to worry about anything along those lines. This is also going to be a tri-mode based mouse, so USB-C, 2.4 gigahertz, and Bluetooth. It has the ROG aim point sensor, so you're going to, of course, get that 36,000 DPI and that guaranteed 1% CPI deviation. It has our ROG micro switches, which are premium micro switches, which are binned also within plus and 5 gram force deviation. No other manufacturer openly discloses that information. The CPI guarantee is also, to my knowledge, we're the only manufacturer that's doing guaranteeing of that 1% CPI deviation. And so, again, compared to some of those other mice, we have a faster sensor. That CPI deviation switches are definitely far superior. I think some of the other competitors in this similar space are only using 20 million rated switches. These are 70 million, and also the ROG micro switches have a gold-plated junction, which helps to actually improve the overall long-term reliability. In terms of your actual switches, that helps to reduce the likelihood of having things like double click over time. Onboard memory, so you can store multiple profiles. And then you can switch between those profiles. So if you want to go from desktop to different games, so if you want to have something like tuned for like Valorant, and then you want to go into Fortnite, and then you want to go into Doom, you could have different profiles. It also will come included with grip tape and our ultra lightweight ROG paracord cable and 100% PTFE feet that are on this model as well. There's also laser etching right there. It's on the side for a nice little bit of kind of like a grip and profile on the mouse if you didn't want to use the actual grip tape. But the really cool thing here too that you see, the reason why we call it the AIM-Lab edition is that we actually did a really cool kind of collaboration here with AIM-Lab where we have a settings optimizer suite. And so the setting optimizer, when you actually load up the application, there's actually different training modules. So for things like liftoff distance, or for like DPI, or for sensitivity, and they're 10-minute training sessions. And when you excuse me, go through the training sessions, you can then have that information pretty much stored and directly mapped to the mouse. And so actually also as you progress over time and you work in conjunction with the actual AIM-Lab software, and then also with the Hone map, which you see right there, which also has measurements, you can really actually not only really dial in values that work best for you and for the mouse, but then you can also scale this out over time, where you might maybe start off at, maybe like 1200 DPI, and then all of a sudden you might move up to 1800 to then like 3200 DPI, right? You might make adjustments to your LOD, right? These are all kind of really great things that you can help to quantify and measure and tune, and then have that stored into the mouse. So it's a really, really cool level of kind of information and kind of synchronicity that really, it's very difficult to have, right? A lot of times people just go like, what should I do in terms of my DPI? What should I do in terms of, you know, my angle tuning or my liftoff distance? And people are asking in Reddit, or they're going into YouTube comment, or they're tagging somebody, or looking at pro settings. But here you can kind of really get these quantified points of information within the application, kind of know what works best for you, and then tune that in with your mouse. Okay, so here you kind of just see a little bit of a run through of that whole gameplay experience, how that would work within the settings optimizer, and then from there you can jump into your games. Price point on this, we're going to be looking at or around probably about $150, which I think is a great price point. It's actually a little bit cheaper than the Logitech counterpart, but again, with all of the upgrades that we have on this mouse, we really think actually it's an outstanding value. And again, if you're looking for some other options, we, like I said, recently just released the ROG Gladius 3 aimpoint. We also then have the ROG Keras aimpoint, the ROG Chakram X, and the Strix 3 Impact. And that literally goes from like $50 to like $150, all of these different mice, you know, different weights, different sizes, to find kind of what that might kind of best balance for you will be resident to your play style, to your grip style, to your hand size, to kind of all those different aspects, right? And here you can see, as I was noting, right, like these would be the modules that you have available to you in the settings optimizer. You can actually bring up this information. You can go through it. You can see kind of how it all works. Here's the ROG training space. It'll kind of take you through all that. And here you can also see the ROG Hone Ace. This is a custom mat that we have. It's really, really nice and large, really comfortable, really smooth, but still has a little bit of control to it. Great option right there. And this model also, you can see it does have integrated storage for the wireless adapter. This uses also the latest generation of our Speed Nova wireless chipset to really be able to give you great wireless performance. Again, essentially a parity performance experience compared to USB-C. All right, so that is going to be the harp. We're going to talk about the Rikiri in a moment here. Zach, yeah, we're going to be getting to the Rikiri in a moment, so no worries right there. So it doesn't look like we have any questions right there on the mouse, so we'll get ready to jump into the Rikiri here. And again, that model you should be seeing probably, like I said, around $150, and we should have that shortly. Hopefully within about the next 30 days is when we should be looking to release that model. Okay, so next we've got our Rikiri controller, right? And so with the controller here, this guy is a really exciting, of course, update for us in terms of the actual product line. So with the Rikiri, the big thing that we were looking to do here is, I think, be able to offer something that really, I think, met a high degree of build quality, had a really nice fit and finish to it. And I think we've really done it. A lot of the people that felt the controller at CES, and you can look for some hands-on kind of feedback in terms of this, it really gave it, I think, a positive vibe and feel in terms of its overall fit and finish. There's no actually like rubber that's on here that can kind of wear away or have malleability issues over time. Just a subtle little bit of a dimpled surface on the actual controller's hands to really be able to offer a nice level of kind of grip and feel to the unit. Some nice kind of subtle RGB iconography. We've got RGB lighting on there, and we're going to continue to also work with our software team, maybe see how we could potentially integrate this in for value adds in the same way that we have RGB light linking within our Aura suite, our Aura lighting ecosystem on the peripheral side for desktop PC. Maybe there's some interesting things that we can do there in lighting. Now you'll see right here, you do have actually an integrated OLED display. So there you can have like GIFs, and you can have animations, you can have battery life, you can have profile information. So if you're switching from like racing to like shooting, if you enable the mute button and you want to know that you have muted profiles, you know that information. Now the Rikiri Pro will of course have tri-mode connectivity, so that means you have 2.4 gigahertz Bluetooth, and you also have USB-C connectivity available to you. For Xbox connectivity, it's only wired at this standpoint, so just wireless based connection, and the 2.4 and the Bluetooth can of course be used, let's say, with other types of systems, whether it's like a laptop or desktop, or Bluetooth enabled mobile devices, or 2.4 would be optimally suited, of course, also for laptop and desktop gaming, PC gaming. You've got trigger stops right here, so if you want to be able to have, you know, like a tuned trigger for, let's say, like racing versus like FPS, you can easily just make that quick adjustment. 4 rear buttons on the actual Mercury Pro. These are great to map to different types of functions so that you don't have to break away or change any of your other buttons. And you can map all of the software within the Armor Crate software. Everything from dead zone composition, you can make curve adjustments, you can have multiple profiles stored. I mean, there's an extensive level of control and flexibility that we've built into the software suite for this, and it's quite comprehensive. The standard model will only have 2 buttons versus the Mercury Pro has 4 buttons, and the Mercury Pro also has the OLED screen, where the Mercury standard doesn't have the OLED screen, and it's only 2 buttons as well. Now down here, you'll see, of course, the jack. That headphone jack is also going to be an upgraded jack. It actually has an ES Saber DAC and amp that's built into it to be able to give you a little bit more punch, a little bit more soundstage, a little bit more bass, a little bit more kind of treble and detail that's going to be present in there. So great when you plug in your set of headphones or headset into that. Of course, the mute button right there, and again, that information can be visualized to you on the OLED Live Dash display. And also difference too is that here we go with the more modern D-pad based design on the Mercury Pro versus the standard Mercury, which still has a more kind of Omni 360 based D-pad design. And I love both the D-pad design on both of these. So definitely, if you're somebody that loves platforming, action RPGs, fighting games, both of these are going to be great options in that regard. All right, and let me go ahead and see if I can bring up the other information here on the Mercury Pro. We have not finalized the release date information or the pricing for this, but these are going to be premium controllers, so you are going to be looking, let's say in that kind of scuff kind of category for kind of price point. So I would probably estimate, again, these not confirmed pricing, but let's estimate it kind of around pricing of about $150 for something, let's say, like the Mercury Pro, and then definitely less for the standard base model. And in terms of overall kind of time release cycle, probably going to be looking to maybe early Q2 time frame for the release of the Mercury. And most likely we will be releasing the Mercury Pro first, then we'll be following it up with the standard Mercury in terms of its overall availability. And again, I think here on the site, it might actually show here you can actually see some of the cool information. So you can see like charging information, mic status, pairing information, animations, the profile switching that's available to you. So you can go ahead and swap that out there. The triggers, right, with the rear. And here you can see in the software, lots of different types of options right here. So you can see things like you can have a battery notification when the unit kind of turns off and turns on, firmware updating that you have available, right? We'll have all that mapped in there. You can see right here where you've got coarse vibration settings where you can adjust the actual for the top of the controller and for the bottom of the controller in terms of its actually motor response right there. There's, like I said, the remapping options that are available for all the buttons that are available. You can go in there, you can see of course, lighting adjustment, and there's functional lighting adjustments out there. The joystick settings, including, like I said, the response curve, dead zone composition, all in there. So really, really nice options that are built in there. So I'm really excited about this one with the Mercury Pro and the standard Mercury. Let me see here, any questions right there? Thomas, yeah, I'll be getting to the Rapture series in a little bit, but that looks to be correct. Yes, 310G LAN, 2.5G, 2.6 gigahertz quad-core SoC, 1 gig DDR5 memory. Yeah, that seems about right. There are still some things that we haven't 100% finalized on the ROG Rapture model, and I'll be talking about that in a little bit. On pricing, like I said, we haven't finalized the pricing, but like I said, I think, we're going to be looking at, like I said, premium controller pricing category for the Mercury Pro. Hey, Jake, fantastic news right there. Yeah, really impressed with the addition of such a robust audio solution on the controller. I definitely agree. I think it's a nice addition right there. Kevin, the one, the only, one of the best members of Team ROG in our community, says there is, yes, I've been looking for a good PC gamepad based on the Xbox setup. I would definitely agree. Okay. Okay. Recurry Pro. Why is the Recurry Pro only for console? It's not only for console. Technically, you can also use it on the PC. You can use it on the PC, on the laptop, any essentially USB-based system. But there's no wireless, right? So as long as if you're going to use it wired with an Xbox or if you're going to use it wired with a PC, you're good to go. So it's essentially just a wired controller. If you want wireless support, then you would want to look to the Pro model. Yeah, I can already tell you in terms of availability for the router, though, we don't have a specific timeline yet for the router. Router's still under design and development. We're now getting close to kind of the final stages. Probably have a little bit more information for it by the very end of Q1 timeframe, but I think probably realistically released, probably that model will probably come closer in probably early Q2 timeframe. But keep in mind, we have two Wi-Fi 7 product offerings that we're going to be having, right? So we've got the tri-band based model with the ASUS RT based model. And then we've got, of course, the quad band based model with the ROG Rapture. And so we'll quickly kind of preview both of those based units there. Okay, so, and again, if anybody has any questions, feel free and let me know. I think probably that's going to be a good segue for us because that covered most of the peripheral side. I do have actually a cool little update, and that many people didn't even cover at CES, so I do actually want to go ahead and touch on this one. But again, kind of trying to show that we really do focus, I think, on a wide range of value for you know, our gamers across the price band, where it's not just about the highest end hardware. I actually got a really nice update that we have coming with the TUF Gaming M3 Gen 2, and so this is going to be on the entry level side of the Mets. You can definitely think about, you know, $40 under kind of price band for a mouse, right? Our ROG Strix Impact series is already quite reasonably priced, but I think this is going to be a great addition right here. So this is going to be the TUF Gaming M3 Gen 2. So here we've essentially updated it to a newer sensor right here, even lighter weight. So this is going to be 59 grams, really nice build quality, 60 million click rated in terms of the actual switches, nice high grade PTFE feet. So really nice, smooth, consistent tracking that is going to be on this mouse. Onboard memory profiles, nice, clean, ergonomic-based design right here. So again, for somebody that wants to be able to get into, I think, the gaming scene, all right, have a good, nice, performant mouse that's going to be lightweight, it's going to be well designed, have a good quality sensor, right? This, I think, is going to be a great option, especially, like I said, coming out at a lower price point than what we have with, let's say, even something like the ROG Strix Impact 3, which is coming in at $50. This will be priced lower. And here, you know, this is updated with the, this is the PixArt, I think, 3318 base sensor on here, 1000 hertz, 60 million click, and again, multiple onboard memory profiles on this model as well. So I think this is a really, really nice option. The main thing that you would start to get as good to some of the models is going to be, of course, the hot swap switch design, even more premium quality construction that'll be available to you. But this model does also even have IP certification, which is nice. So again, having a little bit of that kind of enhanced durability that you see within our TUF Gaming products. And keep in mind, we also do offer even the ultralight TUF Gaming M4 Air if you want to go crazy super light, but still really nice build quality with IP certification as well. For the M4 Air, which is 47 grams, right? It's pretty insane. Okay, all right, and let me go ahead and move that one along. All right, so we're getting ready to finally, I think, I'll almost get to the end here. So let me just quickly recap, see here what I have left. So I think we've got networking left to help to kind of wrap some of these items off, and I think then we're getting pretty close to the end here, yeah, because we just did the Recurry Pro, we did the Hone. Okay, yeah, so let's go ahead and jump a little bit into the networking side. So we'll go ahead and do the ROG Rapture right here. So this will be our next generation ultra flagship high-end, of course, gaming router. And so some people wonder kind of like, what's the difference with, like, you know, a high-end gaming router versus a traditional router? Can a traditional router be used for gaming? 100%. The main kind of benefit that we have is really going to be the performance, the range, and the speed that it helps to ensure low latency and outstanding gaming performance if you're going to be wirelessly connected for gaming, whether you're going to be on a console, a laptop, a desktop, whatever the device is. That's going to be one part of it, but then we also have a lot of built-in technology, whether it's going to be quality of service and optimization for game packets that you can easily go ahead and toggle on. You have prioritized game-centric VPN clients, right? sometimes the terminology of gaming VPNs may not be accurate. It can actually be more looked at is that the routing path is optimized in terms of the server that's being routed through, and you essentially are reducing the connection points, right, in terms of how your actual data is being routed through. So that can be a benefit, and that's part of actually the ROG Raptor series. It's the reason why we have what we call like the triple layer acceleration, because there's multiple options you have enabled to help to kind of provide a better experience for gaming. On the specification side, though, you are talking about an ultra high performance based design. It's going to be a 2.6 gigahertz quad core SoC on here, DDR4 memory, 3 10G LAN ports that are going to be on here. The WAN is also 10G in terms of the specification support. This also will still fully support AI mesh, so you can go ahead and actually pair two of these together. So if you want to have an ultra high performance, of course, mesh ecosystem that was based on Wi-Fi 7, will literally be the first ones that are going to be offering you. So not only the first quad band Wi-Fi 7 router, but the first quad band Wi-Fi 7 mesh networking solution will be also available to you. And like always, we'll also give you rich options within the AI mesh essentially backhaul to have flexibility where you can define either a wired backhaul or you can define a wireless backhaul. If you wonder what's the point of having so many bands, keep in mind that bands give you the flexibility to essentially have multiple bands open but still have a band that's designated to talking to the two nodes together if you want to do that. So if I took two Raptors and put them together, I could use one dedicated band to have two of them talking together, right, creating my mesh node, but then I would have 3 bands still available for my devices. And critically for like Wi-Fi 6E, Wi-Fi 7 devices, having that ultra high performance band helps to give you the best performance from those latest generation motherboards, phones, laptops, devices that have like Wi-Fi 6E, and for future devices they'll have Wi-Fi 7, right? We'll also have some really exciting options that we're now baking in to even further continue to improve and enhance the functionality that we have within the ASUS WRT firmware. Those include, of course, maintaining the support that we've had for the most comprehensive VPN support in the market, including support for the latest generation of protocols like WireGuard. And there's also some other really, really cool options that we've baked in recently with things like port detection monitoring that you have within the ASUS Router app, which lets you know which ports are active and which ones are connected, on-the-fly switching. In terms of your quality of service options that are available in there, even more robust options for actually server-based filtering, whether you want to have custom DNSs or you want to actually have all kinds of other controls, sometimes related to parental controls, but sometimes maybe just for optimizing your online experience and the anonymity of your online experience if you want to run like an on-router VPN functionality. So a lot of really, really cool stuff baked in for this unit. We have not finalized the pricing for the ROG Raptor right here, but I continue to expect this is going to be a flagship level product, so it'll be of course even more expensive than what we have with the AXE 16000, which of course is already our quad band Wi-Fi 6E based product, because it will even have a faster chipset. It will even have, of course, more 10G based connectivity, right? And of course it's going to have Wi-Fi 7 based support. So those looking kind of really for the best of the best, that's going to be the guy that you're going to definitely be checking out. If you still want something that's going to still be super high performance, but maybe looking for a little bit of a drop down, we will also have the RT series. So this is like a hallmark series under ASUS, where it's going to be the ASUS RT BE96U. So these are always really, really popular. This will be a tri-band model with 2 10G LAN ports, still quad core based SoC, similar design, but the main thing here is that you're going with this one being, of course, tri-band versus a quad band. So the overall total level of throughput will be lower than on the quad band based model, but still be Wi-Fi 7. So this will still be another great option. And just like pretty much almost everything I talked about, except for some of the gamer-centric built-in options in terms of acceleration, won't be present there, but all of the really robust levels of features and functionality, including the ability to run on router VPN, that's all built in still to this model, and you'll still have that present here. Respective timeline for probably both of these is going to be similar. Like I said, more information probably in early Q2 timeframe in terms of overall release and availability. And we also lastly have here a very interesting product right here, which is going to be with the, let's see right here, this is going to be the Zen Wi-Fi Hybrid XC5. And the XE5 right here, this is a very interesting unit. So we've already started to roll out models that start to offer essentially Mocha support. And so the cool thing about actually having Mocha support is if you have a house that has coax-based cabling, you can use the infrastructure for that to be able to go ahead and connect your setup. And so if I have, do I have the picture here? See? Yeah, so you actually see right here, you've got your WAN, your LAN, and then you've got your Mocha, so you can actually use your Mocha, your coax connection for that. And so the great thing is that with Mocha, you can actually have certified support for up to like 2.5 gigabit connections, which can actually be even faster than wireless mesh nodes, and really give you a great deal of flexibility and performance. So this could be a really, really kind of great option in terms of giving you kind of the assured connection experience of a wired connection, right? But through the convenience of having, you know, your cabling in your home that you might have, as far as if you have wired coax cabling already set up there, and then being able to use that as the backhaul to connect to endpoints and be able to then give you a great, stable, reliable mesh network. Because like I said, normally mesh networking, you're going to do it through a wireless band and you're going to connect the two nodes together. And most of our models pretty much always support the flexibility of having a wired backhaul or a wireless backhaul. But here, you now get the wired or the wireless backhaul, but you can also do the Mocha connection. So the Mocha connection just gives you that assurance to even have higher level throughput, but take advantage of what you might already have present to you there. This is going to be a Wi-Fi 6 based product. It's not a Wi-Fi 6E based product, so do keep in mind that. And it is a dual band based product, so 2.4 and 5 gigahertz base support. Okay. And then we also have here, let me see if I can bring this up here. For some of you that really are big fans of AP-based deployments, as opposed to, let's say, more, let's say, traditional router, standard kind of mesh networking deployments, we are also going to be releasing our expert Wi-Fi series. And so while we're targeting this more for kind of the I'd say SMB market, so small business kind of environment, definitely we expect a lot of users actually from kind of the normal kind of enthusiast Wi-Fi networking community to really be excited about this product, because it's been designed as kind of similar offerings within the marketplace, where if you want to have AP-based deployment, you're going to have that flexibility here. And so I actually have a great post about it that goes into a little bit more detail if you want to read about it, but we essentially are going to have the EBM, which is going to be the mesh model, the router model, and then the access point model. So essentially you'll see each one of these will be available to you. And the mesh model, right, will be able to go to a higher number of nodes, up to 12 nodes, so give you really ultra high density level of coverage, have advanced VLAN support, which is really, really, really great for not only businesses, but some maybe more kind of professional users or some more knowledgeable users that want to have specific, essentially, LANs that are associated. This model also here allows for flexible orientation in terms of how it can be set up and deployed. And then the AP model is really cool because it has power over Ethernet, right? And like I said, can then work with any of the other models within the unit to be able to mix and match, either serving as a node or, like I said, as the router for the actual control, right? So you don't have to have that kind of isolated controllers or things along those lines. So if you compare this to something like a Ubiquiti-based setup, you're going to be looking at a lower cost, really great performance, and actually even a richer set of options that we have available. So really, really, I think, great option for those of you, again, that are looking for this type of deployment scenario that's leveraging maybe, like I said, more AP-based solution, and also have some more flexibility within VLAN, which traditionally is more limited on consumer-based routers, and only available as you start to get into the more kind of professional or prosumer router-based models. Let me go ahead and just see right there. Is there RGB? Yes. If you're talking about for the RG Rapture, is there RGB lighting? Yes, there will be RGB lighting. Michael Braun's asking for 10G. Yeah, so part of the thing is, like, if you start to look at other things like SFP Plus and stuff like that, you're trying to keep the practicality of cost and also the easiest kind of deployment infrastructure. So going with traditional standard, Cat 6E kind of support, things along those lines, right? For your 10G, that I think is the best option, right? We also did test FSP Plus on other models, and it wasn't really that commonly used. So I don't think it really has the relevancy to it, right? You still get the 10G benefit by maintaining the standard deployment option. But as always, we'll monitor feedback and see kind of where it kind of goes from there. But the level of flexibility, especially within this model class, is almost unmatched. You're not going to find other companies that are giving you this level of backhaul flexibility that we give you, that you can go from, like I said, the wired to the wireless, being able to define that level of flexibility within this class of product and within this class of specifications. Usually, if you're going to even offer that type of a backhaul deployment, it's going to be on a product that might be in the more enterprise or the prosumer professional market, but then you're going to be significantly compromising on things like the SoC chipset performance, the band configuration support. So you're probably not going to get Wi-Fi 6E. You're not going to get Wi-Fi 7 because those things come so much later. So we really kind of try to find that right balance of giving a lot of that cutting edge technology within the segment of these routers for users that want kind of the latest and the greatest, and then it's kind of balanced out with those other connection standards that they find that are going to be most useful. Most useful, I think, is the important part, right? That's interesting. I don't know about the USB 3. I mean, the USB 3 works very differently under a router than it does under most traditional products. Also, the bandwidth, I think, would be probably limited because generally, even with the latest generation chipsets, you usually see probably USB 3 bandwidth peak out at about like 120 to maybe like 150 megabytes. I haven't seen the performance data yet because it hasn't been finalized for the latest generation chipsets that we have for the Wi-Fi 7 series product. But that's definitely something we can talk to our team about and see. But if you're referring to also cellular-based connectivity, all of our routers actually are going to be getting, well, not all of them, but a large number of our routers are going to be getting an update within the ASUS WR firmware that allow for actually easy failover secondary WAN support from your actual phone. So we already had been offering this actually on quite a number of models in terms of having a cellular WAN support, right? But here, it's actually going to be really simple. You literally just take a cable straight from your phone, plug it into the USB port, and it will immediately be able to actually leverage your 4G or your 5G connection that you have from your phone and have that be carried over as then being able to provide your signal for your wireless network. So if you want to be able to have a secondary kind of option for, let's say, failover or for just rollover flexibility, that would also be an option that we'll have available. And that will be in our traditional router product. Okay. All right. So I think that maybe gets us to the end, guys. I think I might have covered almost everything that I was looking to be able to touch on. So I'm going to quickly take just a run through my general list here and see if we did get through anything. If anybody has any questions that I didn't get to, I know there was a lot of questions that got dropped in there. Might not have been able to get to every single item, but let me go ahead and just bring up my doc here and see. But as you guys can overall see, we definitely had a huge number of announcements at CES, along with, like I said, a number of different products that we've kind of sprinkled in from the end of end of December, rolling into January in terms of its overall release as well. And so you can definitely see that we're going to have a very, very busy Q1, and there's a lot of these products, like I said, are already coming out or coming out very shortly, or coming out in the not too distant future across so many of our different product categories. So as a general recap, let's see here, we did cover the Hyperion, right? That's our new EATX chassis, right? We covered the ROG Rapture series. We covered the ROG RTBE 96U, so that's our other Wi-Fi 7 based router, the Expert series, the Hybrid XE5, the ROG Swift OLED 27-inch, the PA OLED 32, the new PA CRV series monitors, the ROG Swift Pro 540 Hz, the 49-inch ultra wide, the PG3T UXR, so that's a mini LED 1000 monitor that we also have right there. The Zen Screens mobile displays, 16 and 17 and the 24-inch, the ZenBeam L2 Latte, the new TUF Gaming monitors, right, 32 and 27-inch, the Noctua 4080 base graphics card, the ROG Harp, of course, ultralight gaming mouse, right, the Hone, which is our new, of course, gaming surface, which matches up with the Harp, our ROG Gaming Ergo Chair, the Rikiri Pro, the Azoth, the TUF Gaming M3 Gen 2 mouse, the teaser on the TUF Gaming AIO second generation cooler, the LC2 series, and then gave a little bit, of course, of the shout out to the B760 and H770 series. So Last thing is that we actually have just 2 updates on the mini PC I'm going to quickly touch out, and then I'm going to wrap things out, guys. For the most part, that'll kind of take care of everything. So let me go ahead and see if I have those images right here. And if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and drop them in here as I get ready to wrap out the stream. And again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to go ahead and just either tag me in the PCDIY group. That's one of the best ways, or take a look at the featured posts or announcements that we have. That should hopefully help to kind of fill out any of the questions that might have been asked, because they might have been asked by somebody else and then I might have already answered them. So hopefully that covers you on both sides there. So let's go ahead and take a look here at some of our mini PCs. So this is going to be an update to our PN41, which was a very popular unit. This is going to be the PN42. This is going to be a very low wattage based unit, so it's a fully fanless based fully fanless based design, leveraging the newer N100 and N200 series CPUs from Intel. These are going to be quite a bit more performant than the older CPUs that were used in that capacity. So you can see a nice little uplift in terms of the overall performance. You also still, I believe, should be maintaining PD power input on these model. Nice range of connectivity on here, including 10 gigabits Type A, IR receiver. And then when we actually take a look here at the back, you'll see a lot of actually ventilation design, because this is a fully chassis. We don't have the, oh, there it goes. You'll see actually dual LAN support, including actually 2.5 gigabit LAN, DP, and HDMI, another Type A. You'll see actually also here, this is a DisplayPort alt signal support, and then 4 more Type A ports on there. So I'll double check actually on whether or not this model does support PD input in the same way that the PD41 supports that. And if you're wondering what the benefit of the PD input would be, it's essentially that would give you the flexibility to run one single cable that would carry over the power as well as the display signal. So let's say if you connect it to like one of our monitors that has USB-C power, like 100 watts or 90 watts, you could potentially essentially power that unit, display the signal all through one simple cable. So that could be a cool level of functionality. If it doesn't, then of course you still have the traditional barrel jack connector available to you. And this does also support a toolless design, as well as the installation for M.2 based SSD that'll be available to you. So a nice level of flexibility. And these units can be used in a lot of different ways, everything from normal kind of desktop productivity to small little kind of like NAS and sandboxes. Some people use them for virtual machines, for emulation. There's a lot of different kind of varied scenarios that people do use these systems for. And the other model that we have, let me see if I have it right here, is going to be the PN64. This will be an update to the PN63, and here we'll be stepping up to a higher level of performance with now supporting 13th gen series parts. So here you get 13th gen series support. We already have, of course, the 12th gen series support and 11th gen, and all of those can be really, really performant units, with models even supporting PCI Gen 4 M.2 based SSDs, 2 to 3 storage drives internally, Wi-Fi 6E, 2.5 gigabit based connectivity, USB 4 Thunderbolt connectivity. So here you can see you've got Thunderbolt connectivity, Type A USB connectivity on this model. So 3 ports already there on the front. There's also nice high performance based cooling design in here. New models also have updated actually controls that are available within the operating system. You actually can control the fan speeds within the OS outside of having your standard profiles within the UEFI firmware. So if you want to set kind of like standard, quiet, or like a higher level of cooling performance, that can be customized. 10 gigabits, another Type A. This should be 2.5 gig based connectivity, DC power connection, and then also you can of course see Thunderbolt and then HDMI. This port right here doesn't have to be VGA. It's actually a customizable port. So depending on the final models that we'll have available, this could actually be for another display output connection. It could be for a secondary LAN connection. It could actually be just in general as what we call a flexible header. So we can actually change this out to different types of connections. As you see right there, it switches over to a dual LAN. So dual LAN, again, using this in kind of like a little bit of a NAS type configuration could be quite interesting for this type of purposes. And there you can see another HDMI or another a DP port, right? So it's a flexible port giving you a lot of options. And so We will also have an update to our PL series, which our PL series are our full metal body series in terms of the chassis as well. So a lot of updates that we've done on the mini PC. We'll actually probably have an updated stream just focusing on our new mini PCs with like some live demos in terms of their performance, how you can get inside them, be able to install your memory, be able to install your M.2 SSDs, some of the workload scenarios. I think these could be really useful for people in different types of configurations, different types of setups, where they're looking for something that's going to be compact, well designed, still performant, right? But really have that flexibility of being a super compact and, like I said, well designed and performant based mini PC solution. The VGA, because this model sometimes sees deployment like in different types of like commercial or small businesses and in certain industrial practices, they actually still even have VGA connections that people need. But most of the standard model that we tend to bring with the flexible connector, we have it include either an HDMI or DP port because most people really like the benefit that so many of our models give you up to 3 or 4 displays. But I think we may try to see if we use that auxiliary port, because you already have up to 3 displays that can be supported, as maybe being for a secondary LAN, because I think we're seeing more people that are leveraging wanting to have the dual LAN flexibility. Yeah, so for when you're talking about Celerons here, this will be significantly faster performance than the Celerons. Our high performing PN models are usually going to be anywhere between 15 to like 35 watts, or even the highest performing units. This one actually, I believe, should be a 65 watt class part. So you're talking about laptop level class performance. So and that's already something that we've had now for a couple of generations. You're literally getting laptop class performance in these mini PCs. You're not talking about units that don't offer the ability to have a high level of performance for desktop productivity or desktop use. Stardust is asking, will I be able to mesh the Wi-Fi 7 router with a Wi-Fi 6E router? Yes, we will be able to maintain AI mesh support between different specification standards. Like always, you do have to account for the lowest common denominator in terms of being linked, but with Wi-Fi 6E still supporting 160 megahertz, right? You still essentially are probably going to get pretty close to the same kind of core experience in that regard. So you shouldn't really kind of be limited. So if you have a Wi-Fi 6E and then also add one Wi-Fi 7, yes, you could do that. All right, Nelly Mark, I'm not sure on your name, but asking about laptops. I don't cover any laptops on the PCDIY hardware stream. We just focus on our core components. But if you're interested in that, make sure to just go ahead and tag us on our social channels, and we can try to find out which model you might be interested in. We announced tons of laptop models at CES across the board, really across the entire lineup. We had everything from new VivoBooks to new ProArt products, right, with our StudioBook series. We had VivoBook Pro, new TUF Gaming, ROG Strix, Zephyrus models. I mean, I think every single series got updates. So there's a lot. And we have a lot of information if you head over to rog.asus.com that goes into the specific models and kind of some of the projected timelines in terms of release and availability. But I think most of the models starting to come like at kind of the end of Q1 and then rolling into Q2 plus timeframe. Okay. All right. I think that it probably heads out, guys. So a big stream, a lot of things to cover, but hopefully you guys found this interesting and useful. Again, if you guys are looking for more information on any one of these products, or there's something I didn't dive into, or you had more questions, whatever it might be, feel free to go ahead and join us in our ASUS PCDIY group. You can also go ahead and hit me up on the ASUS PCDIY email. So let me go ahead and drop that in here. That's pcdiy@asus.com. And I can go ahead and see if I can respond to your question there. But always best and fastest if you actually consider joining our group. Tag me there in the group, or also feel free to go ahead and tag Jake, now part of our team there. He can also see if he can help to find out that information for you, and we can get back to you there. And that covers our entire component product line. So whether it's going to be motherboards, monitors, graphics cards, peripherals, whatever it might be, feel free. We cover it all inside the ASUS PCDIY group. And of course, when we get back next week, we'll be bringing back the PCDIY Builder Spotlight for 2023, where we of course highlight all your guys' amazing builds, setups, and we'll also be looking to maintain and kick off not only our PCDIY Builder Spotlight, but also look to ramp up a little bit more visibility on the OC Spotlight, as well as the Desk Setup Spotlight. So make sure to go ahead and check that, guys, out. With that, take care, take it easy, enjoy the rest of your day, have a safe Friday night, and enjoy your Saturday and Sunday. So with that, take care, take it easy. Bye-bye.